Chapter 1486. The three groups of people entered the mountain range from three different directions. The first group of people did not become the prey of the two. The first group of people left the mountain safely, but the second group was stopped by Longchen when they reached the mountainside. The leader was stunned when he saw Longchen appear in front of the group. He then stared at Longchen and asked coldly, "Who are you? Why are you blocking our way?" Longchen glanced at the person and summoned his halberd with a wave of his right hand. He sneered and said, "Today, I'm here for the blood crystals. If you leave the blood crystals here, I'll spare your lives." His voice fell. The entire group was on high alert. They formed a battle formation and looked around. After a few breaths, someone came forward and reported to the leader in a low voice, "There doesn't seem to be anyone lurking around. This person seems to be acting alone." Acting alone? The leader of the group, a fourth-stage chaotic prime, raised his brow and stared at Longchen with narrowed eyes. "You want to snatch the blood crystals by yourself? The blood crystals belong to the Holy Church. Do you know that the people who tried to snatch the blood crystals had their entire tribe slaughtered?" The person's voice was full of sarcasm. The reason why the various clans were not powerful when it came to transporting the blood crystals was because of the Holy Church's protection. Previously, the various clans had encountered people who tried to stop them when they were transporting the blood crystals, but the outcome was terrifying. Now, even though the various clans were not inferior to the Holy Church, they did not dare to have any ideas about the blood crystals. Who would have thought that they would encounter Longchen today, blocking their way to snatch the blood crystals by himself? What a joke! Longchen did not intend to explain. He took a step forward, and a vast golden light emerged from the ground. The golden light spread for several miles and enveloped everyone. Everyone felt as if they were trapped in a cage. Longchen walked over slowly with his halberd and said in a deep voice, "You have one last chance to make a choice." Buzz. As Longchen finished speaking, the halberd fell from the sky, causing countless nebula divine rays to fall. Looks like this person is really a madman. Does he really think that he can suppress us by leaving a formation here? The blood crystal is a gift to the saint. How can I hand it over to you? You dare to challenge the might of the sacred sect? I want to see how powerful your array formation is. This tribe seemed to be in awe of the Holy Church and completely ignored Longchen's words. Although the grand array looked majestic, they were not afraid at all. In their eyes, Longchen's cultivation was not worth mentioning. How could a formation set up by a single person be able to contend against nearly 20 to 30 of them? Moreover, this place was only a few days away from the three tribes that stored the blood crystals. As long as they could kill Longchen, even if Longchen had reinforcements, they would not be afraid. The leader of the group attacked first, bringing the second-level chaotic primes behind him straight towards Longchen. Longchen used his own strength to guide the starlight, but he did not have any intention of retreating. He charged straight into the crowd. For a moment, starlight poured down like a tsunami. A terrifying pressure suddenly swept through the sky, and the entire formation began to operate frantically. Screams and screams rose one after another. In just a few dozen breaths, several people died. The second-level and third-level chaotic primes could not even withstand a single blow from Longchen. Only the leader of the group could contend against him. What kind of formation is this? It can bind all of us at the same time. Moreover, the power of the dead people is being used by him. As soon as the leader finished speaking, he was killed by the halberd. After this person died, this place became a place of massacre. Longchen was in an almost invincible position with the formation under his feet. In less than a few hundred breaths, he seized the blood crystals and quickly rushed towards Long Yuan. He set up the formation to quickly deal with this place. He did not leave any formation at Long Yuan. This was not because he was stingy, but because Long Yuan had been muddle-headed for too long. Now that he had awakened the demonic dragon's inheritance, he had endless possibilities. The previous battle with the Dark Dragon clan was not enough to train him. Seizing the blood crystals this time was definitely the best trial for him. In just a quarter of an hour, Longchen was already hiding in the mountains, watching Long Yuan from afar. Long Yuan was really fighting with another group of people, as he said. Just now, he had really single-handedly stopped an entire escort team. The strength of this team was almost the same as the people Longchen had just killed, but they had 4 or 5 fewer people. He nodded slightly. The person who had awakened the inheritance Long Yuan was not stupid. He had almost a 70% chance of winning this team. After all, the strongest person was only a 4th level chaotic prime, only 1 level higher than him. Of course. Even so, if he was not careful, he would definitely suffer a great loss. This was also why Longchen quickly solved his own matter and came here to support him. It was to prevent him from unnecessary danger. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longchen would not make a move. Long Yuan's charge was filled with madness. His entire person was extremely bloodthirsty, like a demon. Once he made a move, his aura alone was enough to make people tremble in fear. Long Yuan fought crazily, almost dealing with everyone at the same time. This scene was somewhat similar to the battle in the Black Dragon tribe. It had to be said. This kind of battle couldn't be better for the Dragon Abyss. A full hour passed. The battle was gradually coming to an end. Long Yuan was still the winner in the end. After all, the two of them had forced their way into the Black Dragon tribe. As long as no 5th level chaotic prime appeared, Long Yuan would not be in great danger. Longchen gradually walked out of the mountains, his eyes full of admiration. Ever since Long Yuan obtained the demonic dragon's inheritance, Long Chen's temperament had really impressed him. He could not help but think of Jian Shan and Zhu Ziyin. After dealing with the Yen tribe, he would definitely find the two of them. Hong Meng's extreme realm powerhouses were as common as clouds. He was really worried. They looked at each other and quickly left the place to hide. After calculating, there were a total of 20 blood crystals. Long Yuan did not pretend to be pretentious. He directly took 5 of them and handed them all to Long Chen. Long Chen took the blood crystals and shook his head with a smile. He did not say anything. Master, our actions will definitely cause a commotion among the tribes under the Holy Church. It won't be easy to stop them here. Long Yuan looked at the blood crystals in his hand and could not help but show some excitement in his eyes. The power of the blood crystals was really tempting. Long Chen heard him and sneered, "These 20 blood crystals are enough to make our cultivation soar. When that time comes, why would we still need to stop them here and rob them?" Long Yuan's pupils shrank when he heard this. He instantly understood what Long Chen meant. Now, they already knew that the two tribes would be looking for blood crystals for the Holy Church. Now that the blood crystals were taken, they would have to collect them again. Next time, they could just rush into the other tribes and rob them. Chapter 1487. Looking at the blood crystals that contained energy, Long Chen thought carefully and said, "Long Yuan, the most important thing now is to refine and absorb these blood crystals. As for looking for other tribes, we'll make plans after we've refined and absorbed these blood crystals." Long Yuan nodded and said, "I'll leave it to you, Master." "That's good. I see that the mountain range over there is surrounded by clouds and mist. There should be a suitable place for us to refine these blood crystals. Follow me." After Long Chen finished speaking, he rose into the air and flew toward the cloud mountain range in the distance. Long Yuan followed closely behind and did not dare to fall behind. After searching for a while, Long Chen finally found 2 quiet and remote caves in the mountain range that were very suitable for closed-door meditation. After giving Long Yuan a few instructions and explaining all the problems that might arise from refining the blood crystals, Long Chen chose a good spot and began to refine the blood crystals that he had just obtained. Long Chen still remembered that 500 years ago, before he had entered the chaotic prime realm in Hong Meng, he had refined a piece of blood crystal and raised his cultivation of the 8-part heavenly dragon technique to the 6th part. He had also successfully entered the chaotic prime realm in Hong Meng. Even Long Chen could not help but be surprised when he thought of such power. The blood crystals were the essence of the blood demon's body that had been nurtured for 1,000 years. The power it contained was definitely not to be underestimated. It was no wonder that the mysterious saint of the saint spent so much effort to get those tribes to search for these blood crystals for him. If the saint of the saint was allowed to continue searching, even the weakest person would be able to reach the peak of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. Longchen only kept 5 of the 20 blood crystals. The remaining 15 were all given to Long Yuan. After all, Long Yuan's atavistic body had just awakened not long ago. He needed these blood crystals that contained supreme power to increase his strength. In the future, Longchen could rest assured that Long Yuan would fight alone when the war with the saint began. Longchen looked at Long Yuan, who had successfully refined a blood crystal. A faint golden light surrounded his body. It was obvious that his strength had improved. Longchen was very satisfied with this. Longchen did not hesitate. He activated the Primal Chaos Golden Codex and picked up a blood crystal to refine it. With the support of the supreme power of the Primal Chaos Golden Codex and Longchen's rapid growth over the past 500 years, the process of refining the blood crystal was very smooth. The majestic blood chi surged into his meridians and turned into a thick power of light, slowly gathering beside the Dragon Palace. Over the past 500 years, Longchen did not forget to cultivate the 8-part heavenly dragon skill while he was recuperating. Now, he had cultivated to the 7th part of the 8-part heavenly dragon skill. He was only a step away from the last part. The blood crystal gave Longchen an opportunity. The blood chi in the Dragon Palace surged. Longchen threw out the remaining 4 blood crystals together. The blood chi became more intense and the violet power contained in it became purer. With the support of the Primal Chaos Golden Codex, Longchen activated the 8-part heavenly dragon skill steadily. 7 golden dragons roared out and soared in the blood sea formed by the blood chi. Below the 7 golden dragons, there was a faint ball of golden light that was sometimes dim and sometimes bright. This was the 8th part of the 8-part heavenly dragon skill that Longchen was trying to nurture. It was also the 8th golden dragon. With the support of the spiritual power in the blood sea, the faint ball of golden light continued to expand and the light it emitted became more intense. In the Dragon Palace, Longchen's primordial spirit shadow gradually appeared. Under the 7 golden dragons, it emitted a roar. Now was the time. Longchen knew that it was a critical moment. He made a gesture with both hands and suddenly exerted force. The blood chi that was full of pure power suddenly emitted bursts of golden light. Under the 7 golden dragons, the ball of golden light suddenly shone brightly. Soon, the ball of golden light rose gradually. The blood chi in the blood sea was absorbed by the ball of golden light. The ball of golden light was also changing its appearance. The figure of a small golden dragon gradually appeared. The blood chi in the blood sea was disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the blood sea in the Dragon Palace disappeared completely, the small golden dragon let out a dragon roar. The 8th part of the 8-part heavenly dragon skill. I didn't expect that I could upgrade the 8-part heavenly dragon skill from the 4th level to the 6th level with only 1 blood crystal. Now, with 5 blood crystals, I almost couldn't upgrade the 8-part heavenly dragon skill to the 8th level. I really don't know how strong the power of the 8-part heavenly dragon skill is now. Longchen muttered as he put away the skill and slowly calmed his mind. At this time in the Dragon Palace, Longmu looked at Longchen lazily and said, "Don't underestimate the skill of the Hongmeng dragon tribe. Let me tell you, the power of the 8-part heavenly dragon skill is far more than that. The 8-part heavenly dragon skill is just a skill. It needs to be combined with the unique martial skills of the Hongmeng dragon tribe to fully display the true power of the 8-part heavenly dragon skill." "I see. Then you have to impart the martial skills of the Hongmeng dragon tribe to me. Otherwise, if something goes wrong when I fight with the saint, our plan to revive the Hongmeng dragon tribe will be ruined," Longchen said with a smile. "Of course you can rest assured. Let me tidy it up first. After a few days, I will impart all the martial skills of the Hongmeng dragon tribe to you," Longmu replied. Longchen nodded and looked at Long Yuan. Longchen did not expect that after spending so much effort to refine and absorb 5 blood crystals, only 2 of the 15 blood crystals in front of Long Yuan were left. Long Chen could not help but be impressed. Don't be too surprised. Long Yuan was able to refine these blood crystals so quickly because of his extremely deficient atavistic body. After all, before he met you and I, no one knew about his body constitution, so his cultivation was delayed for a long time. Now that his atavistic body has been reactivated, he naturally needs a lot of energy to fill it up. These blood crystals are a good supplement for him. Long Mu said faintly. Long Chen chuckled and said, in that case, among the Hongmeng dragon tribe, my body constitution is still the most shocking? Long Mu shook his head and said, now, perhaps we can say that your body constitution is the best among the Hongmeng dragon tribe, while Long Yuan's body constitution is the atavistic body. In other words, if Long Yuan continues to cultivate without any obstacles, his body constitution will reach my father's level in the future. At that time, compared to you, you may not be enough. Hearing this, Long Chen was angry and happy. Chapter 1488. When he thought of this, Long Chen could not help but think of Zhu Ziyin and Jian Shan. It had been almost 600 years since the storm caused by the tearing of space. He did not know where Zhu Ziyin and Jian Shan had gone in the past 600 years. He did not know where they would be the next time he saw them in the vast 9 Great Hongmeng polar region. Long Chen would crush all the forces that tried to kill Long Chen that day. Just as Long Chen was feeling melancholy, Long Yuan had quietly refined the 15 blood crystals. The golden light on his body gradually faded away. Master. Long Chen turned around and saw Long Yuan standing in front of him. He looked like a new person, and a powerful aura gradually emanated from him. Good lad, what's your current level of strength? Long Chen asked joyfully. Long Yuan said, if I'm not wrong, I should be at the 3rd level of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. Long Chen nodded and said, that's right. Now, even if we directly barge into those tribes that work for the so-called Saint sect, we can openly snatch their blood crystals. Long Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, I wonder if Master's current strength has reached the 5th level of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng? Not yet. However, the 8-division heavenly dragon mantra that I've cultivated has already reached the great accomplishment stage. Even if I were to encounter the old monsters that are worshipped by the tribes, I would still be in an invincible position, Long Chen said slowly. Hearing this, Long Yuan smiled and said, Master, do you mean that we should go to those tribes now and cause trouble for them? As expected of my disciple. Let's go. Long Chen said loudly. The master and disciple left the cave and soared into the sky. Their figures flitted through the air quickly. After a short while, a relatively large tribe appeared in front of them. Looking at the appearance of the tribe, Long Chen couldn't help but think of the Yan tribe. It had been 500 years, Yan Li should have become the chief. And the little girl, Man, should also be married. Long Chen missed those forthright friends of his. Thinking that the Yan tribe had already been taken in by the saint, Long Chen's heart was burning with anxiety. He did not know how the Yan tribe was now. The 3 tribes guarding the blood crystals for the saint were the Greenwood tribe, the Flowing Cloud tribe, and the White Blood tribe. These 3 tribes were originally not the strongest tribes in the polar region of Hongmeng. Since 500 years ago, they took the lead in seeking refuge with the so-called saint religion, and their strength grew rapidly. Now, every tribe had a Hongmeng primordial chaos prime. With the old monster keeping watch, in this polar region of Hongmeng, his waist was naturally much sturdier. Now, the place Long Chen arrived at was one of the 3 tribes, the White Blood tribe. Master, when I was in the tribe, I heard that the White Blood tribe relied on the support of the saint religion and the fact that there was a Hongmeng primordial chaos prime old monster keeping watch. The tribesmen bullied other tribes and did many outrageous things. As Long Yuan spoke, there was still some anger in his eyes. It was obvious that Long Yuan, whose strength had skyrocketed, could not wait to test his own strength. Long Chen waved his hand and said, Long Yuan, it's one thing to say, but that's a Hongmeng primordial chaos prime old monster after all. Just the pressure of his realm alone is enough to make us feel overwhelmed. When the time comes, I will find an opportunity to lure away the old monster in the white blood tribe. Take advantage of this opportunity to take away all the blood crystals stored in the white blood tribe. Don't leave a single one behind. Long Yuan smiled and said, "Yes, Master." Long Chen's figure flashed quickly. Golden light flashed around his body, and the dragon halberd quietly appeared in his hand. The 8-division heavenly dragon art began to operate. Long Chen stood in midair like a bright sun. The monstrous starlight array gradually completed. The area of dozens of miles on the ground was completely covered by this array. In an instant, the sky and earth changed color. The originally majestic day suddenly turned gloomy. The starlight above the array shone on the white blood tribe on the ground, immediately causing waves of fluctuations. Long Chen operated his cultivation method and pushed out the dragon halberd. The dragon halberd pushed out 3 golden dragons and whizzed towards the white blood tribe on the ground. On the ground, the clansmen of the white blood tribe all paled in fright when they saw this. Before they could react, the supreme destructive force on the halberd smashed heavily into the area where the clansmen of the white blood tribe were gathered. Following a series of explosions, the white blood tribe was instantly devastated. Quickly inform the old ancestor. A shout came from the white blood tribe. Long Chen knew that this old ancestor was the old monster in Hong Meng of the white blood tribe that Long Yuan had mentioned before. Sure enough, before Long Chen could further activate the monstrous starlight array, a white-haired old man with a withered complexion suddenly appeared in front of Long Chen. "I wonder if Your Excellency's actions today have created a deep enmity with my white blood tribe?" The old monster might have thought that Long Chen was a level 5 Chaos Prime expert in Hong Meng. Although Long Chen had done such an unreasonable thing to the white blood tribe without any explanation, the old monster still thought that Long Chen was a level 5 Chaos Prime expert in Hong Meng. This old monster was still particular about using peaceful means before resorting to force. Long Chen chuckled and said, "It's not a deep enmity. I'm only here today to borrow something from your white blood tribe. If you agree, I'll withdraw this array to ensure the safety of your tribe." The old monster looked at the monstrous starlight array around Long Chen and was a little afraid. "I wonder what Your Excellency wants to borrow. I heard that your white blood tribe relies on the Saint sect to store a lot of blood crystals, right?" Long Chen said casually as he activated the monstrous starlight array. "Boy, are you looking for death? Although those blood crystals are stored in my white blood tribe, they belong to the Saint sect. How dare you touch them?" When the old monster heard Long Chen's arrogant words, he instantly lost his patience and couldn't help but shout. He roared, "Bullshit Saint sect!" Long Chen spat and said, "These blood crystals are something that is shared between the heavens and the earth. Why should the Saint sect monopolize them? Moreover, after obtaining these blood crystals, the Saint sect relied on their power to bully other tribes. Who can be the judge? Brat, don't think that you can bark in front of this old man with this array. I was just testing you. Your true strength is only a level 4 Chaos Prime in Hong Meng. Do you really want to force me to make a move?" The old monster shouted. Chapter 1489. Seeing the old monster leave, Long Chen was overjoyed. According to Long Yuan, the old monster was the only 5th stage chaotic prime in Hong Meng in the white blood tribe. Now, Long Chen lured the old monster away with just a little bait. At this time, there was probably no one in the white blood tribe who could stand up against Long Yuan. Although Long Yuan was only a 3rd stage chaotic prime in Hong Meng, with the demon dragon's inheritance, Long Yuan's ancestral awakening physique, and the recent refinement of the 15 blood crystals, his strength had skyrocketed. Long Chen was confident that Long Yuan alone could dominate the white blood tribe without the old monster. At that time, he only needed to delay the old monster until Long Yuan took out all the blood crystals. Then, he would succeed. Before leaving, Long Chen signaled Long Yuan. Long Yuan immediately understood and the two smiled knowingly. After that, Long Chen shot out in the direction where the old monster had left. The old monster probably would not have thought that Long Yuan, who had been hiding at the side, was also a person who could not be underestimated. After flying for a while, Longchen finally arrived at the old monster's side. Longchen understood that although he had the support of the Chaos Scripture and the 8-part Heavenly Dragon art, he could definitely fight the old monster fair and square. However, no matter what, the old monster was still a 5th-stage chaotic prime in Hongmeng. If he did not have some trump cards, he would not dare to fight head-on. Longchen only treated this battle as a test of his strength. He did not hope to defeat the old monster in front of him. He only hoped to delay as much time as possible so that Long Yuan could make a better move. "Brat, don't dilly-dally. Now, I can give you a chance. Take out something presentable and obediently give it to this old man. This old man can let bygones be bygones for your previous rude behavior, as well as the filthy things you did to the Holy Church. I can also pretend that I didn't hear it," the old monster said arrogantly, relying on his strength as a 5th-stage chaotic prime in Hongmeng. Longchen smiled and said, "Old monster, you said that I'm dawdling. I can also give you a chance. Agree to my previous conditions and hand over all the blood crystals guarded by your tribe. Then, I can also forget about your rudeness, stubborn, you're courting death." As soon as he finished speaking, the old monster suddenly condensed a burst of Hongmeng aura. White light emitted from the surroundings, forming a powerful pressure. Without any explanation, it rushed towards Longchen. The white light that enveloped the entire area rushed over like a tidal wave. The moment it left the old monster's control and returned, the white light pressure suddenly turned into a wave of tormented spiritual energy and crazily gathered toward Longchen's body. Longchen was not afraid. He had just reached the large success stage of the 8th-division Heavenly Dragon art and was worried that he had no place to practice. This was a good opportunity. Longchen waved his hands slowly. The dragon halberd shone brightly. As he moved, a mighty golden light began to gather. The first part of the 8th-division Heavenly Dragon art. "Rise!" Longchen shouted coldly and thrust out the dragon halberd in his hand. Immediately, a golden dragon burst out and bombarded the tormented energy that the old monster sent over. Golden dragon? What kind of cultivation technique is this? If I could use it, wouldn't it be very beneficial? Ha ha ha. The old monster laughed mockingly, as if he was already determined to win this battle. "You want my cultivation technique?" Longchen laughed and said, "Sure, as long as you can kill me." Bang! The golden dragon and the tormented energy collided and immediately set off a monstrous airwave that rolled towards the old monster. The old monster no longer paid any attention to Longchen. He formed a seal with both hands, and the tormented spirit-like aura from before reappeared. The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of tormented spirits like before appeared behind the old monster. The tormented energy. Seeing the old monster's serious look, Longchen did not hold back. The 8th-division Heavenly Dragon art was quickly activated. On the dragon halberd, a golden light slid down. In an instant, 5 golden dragons roared out. "Not bad, kid. It seems that I've underestimated you. Your cultivation technique is really strange." The chi field of these 5 golden dragons complemented each other. "It's really enough to destroy the world." The old monster sighed. Longchen shook his head and said, "In the end, you're still too inexperienced. Not only are you inexperienced, but your eyesight is also bad. How can there be 5? There are obviously 6. Before he finished speaking, Longchen flipped his palm and the dragon halberd flashed with a golden light again. Another golden dragon roared out from Hongmeng's primordial spirit behind Longchen. Above the previous 5 golden dragons, the scales were glowing with a golden light, shining between the heavens and the earth. The old monster was getting more and more excited. He quickly said, "Kid, as long as you're willing to teach me this cultivation technique, I'll give you half of the blood crystals in my tribe. Don't waste your breath, old monster. If you want a cultivation technique, why don't you give me a gift that can tempt me? Half of the blood crystals is too little. I'll tell you straight, even if you take out all the blood crystals in your tribe, my cultivation technique won't be able to let you know half a word of it," Longchen said resolutely. The 8-division heavenly dragon spell was the supreme cultivation technique of the Hongmeng dragon tribe. Not to mention how much suffering he had suffered for the 8-division heavenly dragon spell. When Longmu taught him, he had said that he couldn't teach it to others. Longchen naturally had to abide by it. Even his own disciple, Long Yuan, only told him the location of this cultivation technique and never revealed half a word to him. Now, this old monster wanted to learn it. What a wonderful thing! At the same time, in the white blood tribe in the distance, it was indeed a different scene. Long Yuan relied on the violent strength of Hongmeng's primordial chaos 3rd stage to kill several of the white blood tribe's protectors who could still fight. Obviously, he regarded the white blood tribe as his own territory. After killing all the white blood tribesmen who didn't retreat, Long Yuan came to the forbidden area of the white blood tribe. After a while, he sensed the location of the blood crystals. After killing a few more people guarding the forbidden area, Long Yuan began to attack the seal in the forbidden area of the white blood tribe. It had to be said that the seal left by the old monster of Hongmeng's primordial chaos 5th stage was still very difficult to deal with in Long Yuan's eyes. Chapter 1490. The moment the forbidden area was sealed, the old monster, who was dozens of miles south of the white blood tribe, immediately sensed that the seal had been broken. The old monster looked in the direction of the white blood tribe, and his expression suddenly changed. "Boy, how dare you lure the tiger away from the mountain?" Seeing the old monster so anxious, Longchen guessed that Long Yuan must have succeeded. Although he did not know how the old monster found out about this, Longchen had to do his best to delay the old monster for a while. Delaying the old monster for a period of time would allow Long Yuan to retreat safely. "Old monster, what do you mean by lure the tiger away from the mountain? Why can't I understand what you're saying?" Longchen said perfunctorily. "Humph." The old monster let out a long sigh and said, "Boy, I don't care if you know about this or not. Now, this old man has more important things to do. If you know what's good for you, don't interfere." Longchen laughed loudly and said, "Old monster, you brought me here. If you don't fight now, wouldn't I lose a lot of face? Do you really want to die?" The old monster was enraged, and several auras of tormented spirits suddenly pressed down on the space. Longchen was not afraid and said, "Whether I want to die or not, I want to fight. I also want to see how strong a Hongmeng 5th stage chaotic prime is." The old monster Jian Longchen's provocation made him lose his head in anger. As for the fact that the seal of the tribe's forbidden area was broken, he had already forgotten about it. The old monster let out a muffled groan, and 5 dazzling white primordial spirits of Hongmeng broke through the air. The void between heaven and earth seemed to shatter and collapse. "This old man has lived for so many years, and you're the first person to make me use my killer move from the start. Boy, your death will be worth it." As soon as he finished speaking, a sharp roar was heard in front of the old monster. Immediately after, the shattered void of the heavens and the earth exploded in an instant. Numerous tormented spiritual light pillars swooped down and swept towards the 6 heavens golden dragon around Longchen. Seeing this, Longchen naturally understood that the old monster was serious. Every time a Hongmeng chaotic prime strength increased, a Hongmeng primordial spirit would condense. This was the strongest pressure of a Hongmeng chaotic prime. The old monster made the 5 Hongmeng primordial spirits in his body appear at the same time. Obviously, he was prepared to kill Longchen in one blow. "Since you're not holding back, I'll do my best." Longchen held his breath and golden light surged around him. With the support of the chaotic golden code, he made use of Hongmeng's aura to condense the 4 Hongmeng primordial spirits in his body. At the same time, he waved the dragon halberd in his hand and used the 8-division heavenly dragon technique to reach the peak. The 8 golden dragons roared and surged between heaven and earth. The monstrous waves swept by the chaotic golden code suddenly exploded between heaven and earth. Roar! When the old monster saw that there were 2 more golden dragons, his expression changed slightly, but soon became serious again. The old monster relied on the advantage of having 1 more Hongmeng primordial spirit than Longchen to suppress him with pure strength. At the same time, the old monster activated the power of the tormented spirits, and endless tormented spirits came from all directions. Under the 5 primordial chaos primordial spirits that emitted dazzling white light, the old monster gradually merged with the tormented spirits. Boy, to be able to die under my great white will sacred technique, your life is not in vain. Among the tormented spirits, there was a sinister laugh. Before the old monster's technique was condensed, Longchen stabbed out with his dragon halberd and 2 golden dragons roared out. The golden light was dazzling and unparalleled. The golden dragons smashed into the 5 Hongmeng primordial spirits around the old monster, and the huge impact forced the 5 Hongmeng primordial spirits to retreat more than 100 feet. The violent impact came with a roar. Longchen did not hesitate and stabbed out with his dragon halberd, and the 8 golden dragons moved at the same time. At the same time, Longchen operated the chaotic golden code and merged himself with the 4 Hongmeng primordial spirits behind him, turning into the 9th golden dragon and following closely behind. The golden light on the dragon halberd flashed, and the monstrous aura of Hongmeng surged like a tide, and the sea of clouds churned. This was the most powerful killing move that Longchen could use with the 8 division heavenly dragon skill. Although Longchen could not figure out how powerful this move was, he thought that it should be able to withstand the old monster's killing move. Before Longchen could get close to the old monster, many changes occurred in the blink of an eye. The 5 primordial chaos primordial spirits, which had been forced back by Longchen's bombardment, rushed up in an instant. Endless dazzling white light seemed to want to devour the whole world. After the old monster's figure completely disappeared, a chakra appeared in the middle of the 5 primordial spirits. Around the chakra, countless tormented spirits surrounded it, and a monstrous murderous aura burst out, causing the whole world to change color. The essence in this space began to vibrate slowly, but in an instant, the essence seemed to be attracted by something, and madly gathered towards the chakra in midair. It was at this moment that Longchen's first golden dragon roared. Bang! The golden dragon collided with the chakra, and a huge airwave dragged out a residual brilliance in midair. The golden dragon disappeared without a trace. The chakra was still devouring the essence of the world, and it seemed that the collision just now had not happened. Then, the second one, the third one, the 8 golden dragons all disappeared in the chakra, and there was only the 9th golden dragon that Longchen had transformed into. The chakra still did not move, as if it was going to devour everything. Heavenly dragon, rise! Just as Longchen was about to hit the edge of the mysterious chakra, Longchen shouted loudly. Suddenly, the world shook, and the aura of Hongmeng arrived, and the dragon roar resounded through the sky. The 8 golden dragons that had disappeared suddenly reappeared, and the chakra also stopped devouring the essence of the world. It was at this moment that the chakra moved. The chakra in midair suddenly expanded, and along with the expansion of the chakra, countless tormented spirits suddenly rolled up, and a monstrous storm appeared. The tormented spirits that had gathered around the old monsters seemed to have spirituality, and they danced wildly in this monstrous storm. Die! The old monster's shout came from the chakra, and Longchen could not help but laugh when he heard it. Die! Old monster, you'd better save these words for others. Before his voice died away, Longchen calmed down, and the 8 golden dragons circled around him. Withdraw. Bye-bye, old monster. Your great white chakra cultivation method is not bad. Keep it up. Longchen said, and his figure quickly retreated from this world. How dare you? You're not allowed to leave. Seeing Longchen escape, the old monster could not help but be furious. Chapter 1491. As for Longchen, after flying at high speed, he finally escaped from that world before the old monster could stop his cultivation technique. In fact, Longchen had no intention of fighting with the old monster from the beginning. After all, Longchen and Long Yuan's plan was to lure the tiger away from the mountain. The purpose was to let Long Yuan obtain the blood crystal of the white blood tribe. In the battle with the old monster, after Longchen tested the power of the 8 division heavenly dragon secret art, he estimated that the time was almost up and wanted to retreat. However, at that time, Longchen still had to wait. When the old monster completed his cultivation technique, it would be the best time for Longchen to escape. Although the 8 golden dragons condensed from the 8 division heavenly dragon secret art did not seem to have much effect after bombarding the old monster's mysterious chakra, Longchen knew very well. The old monster had almost used his trump card and brought out the 5 primordial spirits of Hongmeng's 5th stage chaotic primes. Then, he used his mysterious cultivation technique to transform them into a chakra and wantonly devoured the essence chi of the surrounding heaven and earth. The energy contained in the chakra was definitely not something that a Hongmeng 4th stage chaotic prime like Longchen could shake. If it were any other Hongmeng 4th stage chaotic prime fighting the old monster, they would probably be devoured by the old monster's chakra before they could even make a move. Although the 8 golden dragons condensed by Longchen's 8 division heavenly dragon secret art did not cause the chakra to shake after bombarding it, the 8 golden dragons were not devoured by the chakra. Longchen could not help but be surprised. Longchen also understood that it was not impossible to break the old monster's chakra with his own means. However, he had to consider the big picture. If Longchen did that, not only would his strength be damaged, but he would also encounter the saint again. Wouldn't it be asking for trouble if the saint came to support him? Now that Long Yuan had successfully obtained the blood crystal of the white blood tribe, the purpose of their trip had been completed. Thus, Longchen retreated without hesitation. When Longchen helped Long Yuan with his physique, he had left a weak imprint on Long Yuan's body. With this connection, it did not take long for Longchen to find Long Yuan in the Cloud Mountains where they had refined the blood crystals. Master! Seeing Longchen flying in the air, Long Yuan shouted and waved his hand. Longchen landed slowly. Looking at Long Yuan's happy face, he said, "It looks like our harvest this time is a little big, right?" Long Yuan said excitedly, "Big, it's so big that it's boundless." As Long Yuan spoke, he almost jumped up. "Quick, take me to have a look." "For you to be so happy, I guess you moved the white blood tribe here." Longchen joked. Long Yuan led Longchen into the cave. When Longchen saw the blood crystals all over the ground, Longchen almost jumped up. The blood crystals piled up into a small hill as tall as a person. There were about 100 of them. In the cave, they shone brightly and emitted a charming dark red light. On the other side, half of the cave was piled up with cultivation methods, magic treasures, and Hongmeng stones. It was a dazzling array. It was as if they had entered a mountain of treasures. Longchen looked at the pile of blood crystals. For a moment, it was hard for him to react from the huge joy. Back then, a piece of blood crystal had allowed him to successfully cross the threshold of the Hongmeng realm and enter the Hongmeng chaotic prime realm. Moreover, he had cultivated the 6th part of the 8 division heavenly dragon technique. Not long ago, 5 pieces of blood crystals had helped him break through the 8 division heavenly dragon technique. The 8th part of the 8 division heavenly dragon technique was the most difficult to cultivate. Now, there were 100 pieces of blood crystals in front of him. If he could refine and absorb all of them, how much energy would that be? How much would his strength improve by leaps and bounds? Longchen did not dare to think about it. He was afraid that he would be so happy that his teeth would fall out. The Saint sect had been collecting these blood crystals for almost 600 years. In these 600 years, they had collected thousands or even tens of thousands of blood crystals. The strength of the Saint sect was indeed not to be underestimated. Master? Master? Seeing Longchen immersed in the blood crystals, Long Yuan hurriedly reminded him. Yes, I'm here." Longchen coughed twice, calmed down a little, and said slowly, "It seems that this white blood tribe is also secretly going against the Holy Church. They actually secretly stored so many blood crystals. But it's also good that we, master and disciple, since we have obtained these blood crystals that have never seen the light of day in the white blood tribe, we should make good use of them." At the end, Longchen's voice became louder and louder. It was obvious that he could not hold back his excitement. "I only need a few blood crystals now. I haven't completely absorbed the energy of the 15 blood crystals that I refined previously. The rest will be up to you, Master. However, I've seen these cultivation methods and treasures. Some of them are not as good as ours. The Black Dragon tribe is good. Even if they are of a higher grade, they are not suitable for me to practice. I think Master will not like them. Master, what should we do? Longchen nodded and said, we don't need them, but I believe the Yen tribe will. Let's tidy up these things. We won't go to the other two tribes. After the White Blood tribe has been taught a lesson, the old monster will definitely report to the Saint sect. We have to leave quickly before the people from the Saint sect arrive. Go to the Yen tribe? Long Yuan asked. Longchen nodded and said, that's right. I received news from the Black Dragon tribe that the Yen tribe has been controlled by the Saint sect. I had a friendship with the Yen tribe a few hundred years ago. Now, I have to go and find out more. Friendship? Master, do you have descendants in the Yen tribe? Long Yuan was in a good mood and asked teasingly. Longchen heard this and could not help but stare at him. He immediately said in a low voice, don't talk nonsense. Take the blood crystals you need and tidy up these cultivation methods and treasures. Then, get ready to go. Long Yuan didn't ask any more questions, and went to work on the treasures in the cave, mumbling to himself. Longchen put away the blood crystals. Before Long Yuan finished tidying up the treasures, he slowly walked to the entrance of the cave. It had been 500 years. If there were no accidents, Yanli should have become the tribe leader. He really did not know what this rascal who used to hunt with him would become after becoming the tribe leader. After a moment of melancholy, Long Yuan walked out of the cave and said, Master, I've sorted everything out. I've thrown away all the broken mystic treasures and useless cultivation methods, and the rest are with me. We can leave at any time. Chapter 1492. 30 miles to the east of the White Blood tribe, in a tribe on a vast grassland, the smell of gunpowder was thick. This was the Yen tribe. 500 years ago, Longchen was saved by the Yen tribe when he tore the space crack. After Longchen escaped from the Saint, he never came to the Yen tribe again. After 500 years of development, the current Yen tribe had changed its appearance. In the tribe hall, Yanli, who had become the chief, had matured a lot. Every word he said showed the demeanor of a chief of a tribe. 1 blood crystal every month. Our tribe has already handed it over to the 3 big tribes. Why do we still need it? Yanli looked at the 2 men in black standing in front of Yanli in the tribe hall and said with conviction. One of the 2 men in black laughed and said, Chief Yen, you're right. Your tribe has indeed handed over a blood crystal. However, due to an accident on the way, your blood crystal wasn't sent to the Saint. Therefore, you still need to hand over another blood crystal this month. Don't delay the important matters of the Saint. Take note that this time, you'll hand it over directly to the Saint. There's no need to send it to the 3 big tribes. Also, be careful when you're escorting the blood crystal. If you don't send it to the Saint, then you still haven't handed over the blood crystal this month. Yanli's face trembled as he said slowly, that's impossible. Our tribe's warriors were severely injured when they besieged the blood demons for a blood crystal. I'm sure you know that it's not easy to kill the blood demons. Let's gather another one. Our tribe can't do it. Hearing the resolute words in his eyes, the black-clothed man's expression changed. He said angrily, Chief Yen, don't forget the treaty between our holy church and your tribe hundreds of years ago. The Yen tribe has to hand over a blood crystal to the holy church every month. The Saint will protect your tribe. For hundreds of years, no other tribe has ever caused trouble for your Yen tribe. Don't forget that it's all thanks to the Saint. Before Yanli could reply, another black-clothed man continued, let's not talk about the fact that your tribe has already handed in 1 blood crystal for this month. Even if your tribe has already handed in 5 blood crystals, if our sacred sect needs them, your tribe has to hunt blood demons. Hand over the blood crystals. As soon as he finished speaking, Yanli's face was filled with anger. If it was the Yanli from 500 years ago, he would have already fought with these 2 men in black. But now, Yanli couldn't. It wasn't that he didn't dare. It was just that there were too many things that Yen Li had to worry about. He was the chief of the tribe. His every move represented the Yen tribe. In front of the powerful saint, no matter how dissatisfied Yen Li was, he had to swallow his anger for the sake of the big picture. At this time, Yen Li couldn't help but think of Long Chen and Long Chen's actions 500 years ago. He fought against the saint sect alone, shaking the universe. Even though there were millions of people, he was fearless. How cool and unrestrained was this? How heroic was this? But now, Yen Li could only be envious. Long Chen's soul was destroyed in that battle. The saint sect was the dominant force. The Yen tribe had no choice but to submit to the saint sect in order to survive. As the chief of the tribe, Yen Li had to tuck his tail between his legs and obey the saint sect's orders. This mattered. Because of this, the saint sect grew stronger and stronger. Their control over the tribe also grew stronger. When they signed the humiliating treaty, it stipulated that the Yen tribe had to hand over one blood crystal to the saint sect every month without fail. Because of this condition, countless warriors of the Yen tribe died in the hands of blood demons in the past few hundred years. The saint sect challenged Yen Li's bottom line again and again. This time, the black-clothed man in front of him directly stated the saint sect's attitude towards the Yen tribe. This completely angered Yen Li. I've said it before. According to the treaty, we have already handed over one blood crystal every month. If the two of you need more blood crystals, please come back next month. I won't send you off. Yen Li said resolutely. The black-clothed man laughed and said, Chief Yen, do you not understand? I'm warning you for the last time. If you do as I said and hand over the blood crystals before the day after tomorrow, the Yen tribe will still be intact. Yen Li was furious and said coldly, then I'll say it for the last time. The Yen tribe can't do what you said. Don't challenge my bottom line again and again. If the saint sect continues to be so unreasonable, from next month onwards, the Yen tribe will no longer be able to do anything. The saint sect will not hand over a single blood crystal. How dare you? The black-clothed man roared. A Hong Meng primordial spirit whizzed out and emitted a strong pressure in the hall. At this moment, many Yen tribesmen were gathered outside the hall, quietly watching what was happening inside. The Yen tribe was ranked last among the many tribes in the polar region of Hong Meng. In the past 500 years, killing a blood demon every month had consumed too much of the Yen tribe's strength. Today, the Yen tribe relied on Yen Li's strength as a chaotic prime in Hong Meng to support the tribe. Now that Yen Li and the saint sect had completely fallen out, the people of the Yen tribe were not afraid. Immediately, a group of tribe members rushed into the hall while shouting, Chief, our tribe has had enough over the years. As long as you give the order, we will rebel against this *T saint sect. A strong man from the tribe said. As soon as he finished speaking, the group of tribe members agreed. Seeing this, the black-clothed man was not afraid. He said slowly, Chief Yen, I'll say this first. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Destroying a small tribe like the Yen tribe is just like stepping on an ant to the saint sect. Hearing this, Yen Li suppressed his anger and turned to the people who rushed into the hall. He said, Leave, I still need to talk to them. Chief! The burly man from before shouted, We can't continue to be entangled with them. If we don't act decisively, we'll be in trouble. Killing a blood demon every month isn't something our Yen tribe can bear. In the long run, our Yen tribe will be in trouble. If this continues, we will be destroyed sooner or later. Rather than that, we might as well take a gamble. Yen Li was very conflicted. Looking at the Hong Meng primordial spirit formed by the black-clothed man, Yen Li slowly thought of retreating. The black-clothed man was right. The saint sect was too powerful. To them, the Yen tribe was just like an ant. Yen tribe leader, hurry up and make a decision. Do you really need someone else to make a decision for you in the Yen tribe? You are the chief. The black-clothed man laughed. Chapter 1493. Yen Li's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He quickly looked outside the tribe to where the voice came from, wondering who would say such a thing. The two men in black were also interested. They wanted to know who was the one who wanted to take the lead. The one who spoke was Long Chen. After a long journey, Long Chen and Long Yuan quickly arrived at the Yen tribe. Seeing that the Yen tribe was still the same but the people had changed, Long Chen and Long Yuan started walking around the Yen tribe silently. Unintentionally, they heard the conflict between Yen Li and the two men in black sent by the sacred sect in the main hall of the tribe. It turned out that the Yen tribe had suffered such humiliation for the past 500 years. The strength of the blood demons was still vivid in Long Chen's mind. Before he stepped into the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng, it took him a lot of effort to hunt down a blood demon with many strong men in the Yen tribe. If they wanted to hunt down the blood demon steadily, there must be a Hongmeng chaotic prime expert in the hunting team. Even so, there was still a lot of risk. After all, the strength of the blood demons was unpredictable. They had to hunt down a blood demon every month, and the blood crystals they obtained with great effort had to be handed over to the so-called sacred sect? How preposterous. After Long Chen shouted that, he swaggered into the main hall of the tribe with Long Yuan. Looking at Long Chen, Yen Li's cheeks trembled slightly. Yen Li would never forget this face for the rest of his life. It had been 500 years. Long Chen was still alive, and he could still see him again? Long Chen? Is that you? Yen Li's voice trembled. Long Chen looked at Yen Li with a complicated expression. At this time, Long Chen didn't want to say anything. He simply nodded at Yen Li. After that, Long Chen looked at the two men in black and said sternly, "I really didn't expect that two messengers from the sacred sect would dare to talk nonsense here." The men in black heard this and their faces darkened. However, they didn't dare to act rashly before they figured out Long Chen's background and strength. "Who are you?" the men in black asked coldly. Long Chen snorted and said, "I'm afraid you won't know the answer to this question." Arrogant. The other man in black saw Long Chen speaking to them in such a manner. He immediately got angry and said, "You're courting death." When Long Chen heard this, he laughed and said, "It's been a few hundred years. You people from the sacred sect still can't change your arrogance. Do you really think that the sacred sect is invincible? Long Chen, don't be so impulsive." Yen Li saw that the relationship between the two parties was getting worse. It looked like a fight was about to break out. He couldn't help but try to mediate. After all, if Long Chen and the two men in black fought, it would be a declaration of war against the sacred sect. Long Chen shook his head and said, "Yen Li, I know that you have a lot of concerns as the leader of the tribe. However, don't worry. I'm no longer the Long Chen from 500 years ago. It's time for the humiliation that the Yen tribe has suffered for the past 500 years to come to an end. I, Long Chen, promise you that I won't be as impulsive as I was 500 years ago. This time, I'll completely destroy the sacred sect." When he finished speaking, Long Chen became impassioned. As for the two black-clothed men who heard those words, they turned pale with fright. "Who are you? In the polar regions of Hongmeng, do you know what will happen to anyone who dares to speak so arrogantly to the sacred sect?" One of the men in black shouted. In fact, it wasn't just the men in black who were shocked. Even the tribesmen of the Yen tribe were shocked after hearing Long Chen's impassioned speech. Most of the tribesmen were of the younger generation. Naturally, they had never seen Long Chen before. At the same time, they knew very little about Long Chen's battle against the sacred sect 500 years ago. When they were growing up, they only knew that the sacred sect was too powerful and the tribe could only submit. Only by submitting to the sacred sect could they survive. Now, Long Chen dared to say that he would destroy the sacred sect in front of the two messengers of the sacred sect. This was too crazy. "I don't know what will happen to me and I don't want to know. However, I know very well what will happen to the two of you," Long Chen said sternly. "You're asking for it." Finally, in the face of Long Chen's repeated provocations, the two men in black couldn't help but take action against Long Chen. Two Hongmeng primordial spirits suddenly appeared in the tribe hall along with a violent fluctuation of power. The two men in black looked at Long Chen with murderous eyes. Seeing the two men in black release their Hongmeng primordial spirits, Long Chen caught a trace of their aura and knew their strength. One of them was a Hongmeng Chaotic Prime Level 2 while the other was a Hongmeng Chaotic Prime Level 1. In Long Chen's eyes, their strength was like a strong man looking at two little kids who had just learned how to walk. How dare you release your primordial spirits? You're courting death. Long Chen shouted angrily. At the same time, his body was supported by the divine golden light of the chaotic golden codex. He punched out and brought about a biting cold suppression in the hall. Bang! Long Chen's fist landed heavily on one of the men in black. A golden light suddenly exploded on the man in black's body and a huge force roared through the air. It directly shattered the Hongmeng primordial spirit that the man in black had just condensed. The man in black was sent flying out of the tribe hall. He took a few hundred steps back before he managed to stabilize himself. He spat out a mouthful of blood and seemed to want to say something. His lips moved a few times before he fell to the ground in a daze. Unsurprisingly, the man in black should be dead. He killed a Hongmeng Chaotic Prime with a single punch. He didn't use any moves. He just suppressed with pure strength. In the Yen tribe, the clansmen present could not help but open their mouths wide when they saw this scene. They were extremely shocked. What kind of power was this? How could it shatter a Hongmeng primordial spirit that could only be condensed by a Hongmeng Chaotic Prime? Before the other man in black could react, Long Chen clapped his hands and said leisurely, "What? It's your turn now. Do you have anything to say? The Saint Sect won't let you go. Lord Holy Master won't let you go." Before he could finish speaking, the remaining black-robed man's figure floated and he hurriedly retreated a few steps. The primordial spirit that he had congealed earlier blocked Long Chen's path while he rapidly fled. Sacrificing a Hongmeng primordial spirit in exchange for time to escape was probably the most promising plan the man in black could think of. Chapter 1494. Long Chen punched out and cleanly shattered the primordial spirit that the black-robed man had left behind before he fled. After that, Long Chen turned to look at Long Yuan, who had been standing at the side and had not spoken a word. He nodded. Long Yuan understood tacitly, and his figure shot out explosively. As for what happened after that, the people in the hall did not know. After a few breaths, Long Yuan calmly walked into the hall again. There was a trace of blood on the corner of his robe. After everyone sorted out the situation, there was a burst of exclamations in the Yen tribe. Yanli looked at Long Chen's current strength and recalled the scene of him and Long Chen fighting together 500 years ago. At this moment, Yanli did not know what to say. "Yanli, I know what you're thinking. You're now the chief of the tribe, it's good for you to think more. Today, I killed the two men in black. If you're afraid of bringing disaster to the Yen tribe, then follow what the two men in black said and stay back. Just send the blood crystals to the Saint Sect before tomorrow. When the time comes, you just have to pretend that you don't know the cause of death of the two men in black. I believe that the Saint Sect won't make things difficult for your tribe for 2 pawns, Long Chen said faintly. Hearing this, Yanli could not help but feel warm in his heart. After being the chief for so many years, Yanli was basically in charge of all the important matters in the tribe. It was not like Yanli was a dictator. It was just that in the current Yen tribe, he was looking for someone who could shoulder the responsibility. It was really difficult to find a descendant. Now that Long Chen had returned, he had resolved a disaster that was about to happen to the clan. Moreover, he had even thought of a solution for himself. Naturally, Yanli felt a little comfortable. But now, as the chief of the tribe, Yanli had to stabilize his temper and settle all the matters at hand. Only then could he plan for the future with peace of mind. Yanli ordered the tribesmen to dispose of the bodies of the two men in black. Then, he hurriedly brought Long Chen to Yanli's residence. Long Chen asked Long Yuan to take a look around the Yen tribe. He indeed had something to say to Yanli. "Long Chen, where have you been for the past 500 years? Since you didn't die, why didn't you come back earlier?" Yenli asked impatiently as he gestured for Longchen to sit down. Longchen shook his head and said, "It's a long story. If I didn't come back, did you think that I would have turned into a skeleton?" Yenli, he shook his head helplessly. "And there was no news of you?" "Under that attack, of course." "Indeed, that high priest's strength was truly ferocious. I also used a secret technique to luckily escape," Longchen said slowly. "But because I was injured too badly, I had to find a place to recuperate. It took me 500 years to recover." Yenli heard this and paused for a moment. He said, "I don't know how strong you are now. You can actually kill the messenger of the Holy Church with one punch?" Longchen smiled and said, "Let's not talk about this for now. Yenli, I came back this time to discuss an important matter with you." "Important matter?" Yenli shook his head and said, "Longchen, I know what you are thinking. I heard it in the tribe hall just now. But there are some things you need to know. You have been recuperating for 500 years. Maybe you don't know what happened in the past 500 years. Although your strength has improved by leaps and bounds, the Holy Church has more than 1,000 tribes in the polar regions of Hongmeng. Almost 200 tribes are under the control of the Holy Church. I am not very clear about the requirements of the other big tribes. I only know that a small tribe like the Yan tribe has to hand over 1 blood crystal every month. The bigger tribes have to hand over 2 blood crystals every month. How many blood crystals has that been in the past 500 years? Thinking back, you used 1 blood crystal to successfully break through the threshold of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. The Holy Church has collected so many blood crystals over the past few hundred years. If they were to be refined and absorbed by people, how terrifying would that be? Moreover, just half a year ago. Previously, the Holy Church released news that the Holy Master of the Holy Church had successfully merged the 9 Hongmeng primordial spirits into one. He had condensed the star spirit, created the star vein, and stepped into the Hongmeng consolidation realm. This kind of power is not something we can stop. Yenli's expression gradually became desolate as he spoke. Obviously, after 500 years of submission, Yenli had formed an unshakable image of the Holy Church in his heart. Hearing this, Longchen let out a long breath and said, "Yenli, I don't quite understand. To be exact, I can't figure it out." "What do you mean?" Yenli asked. "It's like this." Longchen cleared his throat and said, "These blood crystals contain extremely pure essence of heaven and earth. Just 1 piece is enough for me to break through the shackles of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. However, the Holy Church has collected so many blood crystals over the past few hundred years. What are they being used for? You just said that the Holy Master of the Holy Church has only just broken through to the Hongmeng consolidation realm. This doesn't make sense." After listening to Longchen's analysis, Yenli immediately reacted. Longchen was right. These blood crystals contain too much power. Why did the Holy Church need so many blood crystals? Moreover, the Holy Master of the Holy Church had only just broken through to the Hongmeng consolidation realm. What you said makes sense. However, if these blood crystals have not been refined and absorbed, then what is the use of the Holy Church collecting them? Yenli asked doubtfully. This is also a question that I have been unable to answer for a long time. I have a bold guess. Longchen's eyes were like torches as he said, "Yenli, do you still remember the small spiritual world that your father told us about 500 years ago?" "Small spiritual world?" Yenli seemed to recall something and said, "Of course I remember. In the polar regions of Hongmeng, the small spiritual world opens once every 1,200 years. Every tribe will send their elites into it. The Yan tribe is not strong enough, so we were only given 1 slot. I still remember that father said that he wanted to give you another slot. It's good that you remember. Do you know how many years it will be before the small spiritual world opens?" Longchen asked. Yenli thought for a while and said, "If I remember correctly, there should be another 400 years. What do you mean? What do the Holy Church and blood crystals have to do with the small spiritual world?" "The small spiritual world has existed since ancient times. The Holy Church is just a force that suddenly appeared a few hundred years ago. Chapter 1495. After listening to Long Chen's words, Yen Li was a little panicked. When Yen Li was still a child, the adults in the tribe had told him about the origin of the small spiritual world. It was a twisted legend. The small spiritual world was a paradise naturally formed because of the turbulence of the essence of heaven and earth when the polar region of Hongmeng was opened. When the small spiritual world was formed, it was not connected to the polar region of Hongmeng, and the people in the polar region of Hongmeng did not know of the existence of the small spiritual world. For thousands of years, because no one set foot in it, the small spiritual world naturally bred many beasts, spiritual medicines, and natural magic weapons. These naturally formed treasures were naturally the pursuit of cultivators. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, because of the turbulence of heaven and earth, the small spiritual world appeared for the first time in the polar region of Hongmeng, and immediately set off the pursuit of the major tribes in the polar region of Hongmeng. At that time, the small spiritual world that appeared was firmly connected to the polar region of Hongmeng, and the entrance was very stable. After a period of exploration, the major tribes in the polar region of Hongmeng determined that this was an opportunity, and began to send people to explore and gain experience. Although there were too many unpredictable dangers in the small spiritual world, and the tribal disciples who went to the small spiritual world often failed, there were rewards with risks. The tribal disciples who came back safely from the small spiritual world would have their strength increased rapidly, and they would also get many treasures that had never been seen in the polar region of Hongmeng. With the opportunities and treasures obtained in the small spiritual world, the strength of those tribes suddenly increased, and they immediately dominated the polar region of Hongmeng. On one side, with a precedent, the polar region of Hongmeng set off a frenzy of going to the small spiritual world to gain experience. At that time, almost everyone in the tribe understood that the small spiritual world was an opportunity given to everyone by God, and everyone had a chance to become the chosen one. As more and more tribes entered the small spirit world and became stronger, some of the 10 most powerful tribes that originally dominated the polar regions of Hongmeng could not stand it anymore. The 10 major tribes were afraid that if they continued to develop like this, their status in the polar region of Hongmeng would be shaken. Therefore, the 10 major tribes united and controlled the entrance to the small spirit world, saying that it was to prevent the demon beasts in the small spirit world from rushing out and harming them. He had sacrificed innocent lives in order to monopolize the opportunity to enter the small spirit world. Naturally, this action was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. Many tribes opposed this action of the top 10 tribes, but because of the strength of the top 10 tribes, these small tribes had to accept the agreement put forward by the top 10 tribes under pressure. Within 3 years, each tribe could send a team into the small spirit world. After that, they would no longer have the chance to enter the small spirit world. Many small tribes accepted this condition, but to the 10 great tribes, they could enter the small spiritual realm whenever they wanted. Even if the small tribes knew, they did not dare to say anything. In this way, 3 years passed one after another. The strength of the top 10 tribes that controlled the small spirit world grew stronger and stronger. Gradually, they did not care about the agreement that was put forward before. First, after canceling the qualifications of some small tribes to enter the small spirit world, the top 10 tribes did not have any drastic reaction. They went all out and announced that all the small tribes would be disqualified from entering the small spirit world, including the middle tribes. The number of large tribes that could enter the small spirit world was also greatly reduced. For a time, many small tribes began to oppose. The top 10 tribes were also ruthless. They immediately slaughtered a few small tribes that were clamoring fiercely at that time, which played the role of killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Due to the gap in strength, many tribes could only accept. Nai accepted this reality. And the turning point of the matter was a survivor of one of the small tribes that the top 10 tribes had slaughtered. Because of the resentment toward the top 10 tribes, the survivor was extremely helpless. He could only desperately go to the entrance of the small spirit world and break in somehow. 10 years later, the survivor returned from the small spirit world and immediately set off an uproar in the polar region of Hongmeng. No one knew what kind of opportunity the survivor encountered in the small spirit world. They only knew that when the survivor came out, he was already invincible. The survivor first destroyed the seal of the top 10 tribes on the entrance of the small spirit world. Then, with the strength of one person, he slaughtered one of the top 10 tribes. When the news spread, the polar region of Hongmeng was shocked. Many small tribes that had been oppressed for a long time united. Under the leadership of the survivor, they officially declared war on the top 10 tribes. The battlefield of the last battle was chosen in the small spirit world. The survivor alone fought against all the experts of the top 10 tribes. In that battle, the survivor had single-handedly killed the experts of 7 tribes. The strength he had displayed had shocked the 10 tribes. However, the survivor was also seriously injured. Seeing that he was about to be killed by the experts of the remaining 2 tribes, the survivor understood that if he lost this time, there would be no more chances. At this critical moment, the survivor used some kind of secret technique. His primordial spirit self-detonated, and the remaining experts of the top 10 tribes died together. It was because the power of the self-detonation of this primordial spirit was too strong that the entrance of the small spirit world, which was originally stable in the polar region of Hongmeng, was shattered. From then on, the small spirit world was separated from the polar region of Hongmeng. After this, there was no more small spirit world in the polar region of Hongmeng. The top 10 tribes lost too much of their strength and were gradually condemned by other tribes. The top 10 tribes, who survived, were also struggling at death's door. The polar region of Hongmeng, which thought that the small spirit world would never appear again, fell into peace. Who knew that after 1,200 years, the small spirit world would appear again, and the tribes of Hongmeng once again set off a frenzy. However, before those tribes were fully prepared to enter the small spirit world, the small spirit world disappeared quietly. The tribes of Hongmeng were very puzzled, until a powerful person explained the reason. It turned out that after that turmoil, the entrance of the Hongmeng polar region to the small spirit world had been damaged. They could only wait for the small spirit world to operate on its own. Only then would they communicate with the polar region of Hongmeng again and appear for a period of time. This period of time was 1,200 years. With the lesson of the last time, the tribes of Hongmeng polar region made an agreement. Every time the small spirit world appeared, each tribe would choose the number of people to enter the small spirit world according to the proportion of their population. In this way, as 1,200 years passed, the polar region of Hongmeng stabilized. The past of the small spirit world was gradually forgotten. The new top 10 tribes appeared, but they no longer dared to monopolize the small spirit world. And now, the people of the Saint had such a plan. Chapter 1496. Long Chen, if this is true, I know how to deal with the Saint without you telling me, Yanli said slowly. Long Chen drank a cup of hot tea slowly and said, tell me about it. Yanli thought for a while and said, in the end, the so-called Saint sect is only a medium-sized force in the polar region of Hongmeng. In other words, there are many large tribes in the polar region of Hongmeng that can completely take over the Saint sect. Long Chen said leisurely. Yanli nodded and said, the area controlled by the Saint sect is the most remote area in the polar region of Hongmeng. Although there are many tribes here, they are all small tribes like our Yan tribe. None of the tribes are as strong as those in the consolidation realm in Hongmeng. Therefore, the Saint sect doesn't need to exert any effort to control them. In the polar region of Hongmeng, the large forces and tribes on the surface are mostly gathered in the central area of the polar region of Hongmeng. Any one of the forces there is enough to make the Saint sect suffer. Long Chen smiled and said, since that's the case, if my guess is right, the Saint sect's purpose of collecting the blood crystals is to open and control the small spiritual world in advance. We can use a borrowed knife to kill the enemy. Yanli frowned and said, but, since we don't have concrete evidence, how can we convince the large forces to destroy the Saint sect? Long Chen said, Yanli, why can't you understand this? Let me ask you, the Saint sect has been doing this for almost 500 years, but no one has stopped them. Why? Without waiting for Yenli to answer, Longchen continued, firstly, it's because this area is at the edge of the polar region of Hongmeng. The strength of the tribes here is weak. Even if someone wants to stop them, they are powerless. Secondly, the Saint sect is very low-key. They only control the small tribes at the edge of the polar region of Hongmeng. They don't dare to touch the large forces in the central area of the polar region of Hongmeng. Thirdly, even if the large forces in the polar region of Hongmeng know about the existence of the Saint sect, they probably won't do it. They will come all the way to deal with an organization that has nothing to do with them. After all, there are no obvious benefits in this. Why are there no benefits? The Saint sect has collected so many blood crystals, how can? Yenli was puzzled. Longchen shook his head and said, if I'm not wrong, although these blood crystals contain a lot of energy, once you reach the 5th stage of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng and condense 5 primordial spirits, refining these blood crystals will become useless. Is this true? Yenli asked with a trembling voice. Longchen's arrival had revealed too many things that he didn't know. Longchen said slowly, this is also my guess. Yenli, think about it. If these blood crystals have a huge effect on the cultivation of those above the 5th stage of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng, I'm afraid everyone will hunt the blood demons crazily. I don't know if you have. I've tried refining the blood crystals before, but the process was extremely torturous before I reached the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. If it weren't for my special physique, I would have exploded and died long ago. Yenli thought for a while and said, you're right. I've tried refining the blood crystals before, but I failed. At first, I thought it was because I wasn't strong enough. Now that you've mentioned it, it's true. In other words, the reason why the blood crystals aren't widely circulated in the polar region of Hongmeng is because it's extremely difficult to refine. If it's forcefully absorbed, it might be dangerous. Secondly, it's useless for those above the 5th stage of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng to refine the blood crystals. Therefore, the blood crystals won't attract the attention of the major forces in the polar region of Hongmeng. If our analysis is correct, that's roughly it. The Holy Church collects the blood crystals because they contain an extremely large amount of energy. By using this energy, they can cast some ingenious spirit arrays. Through these spirit arrays, they can repair the entrance between the small spirit world and the polar region of Hongmeng, thus allowing the small spirit world to appear in advance. However, because the major forces in the polar region of Hongmeng don't know about this at all, they still stubbornly believe that they have to wait for another 400 years for the small spirit world to appear. If the Holy Church really achieves its goal, the Holy Church can monopolize the small spirit world for a few hundred years. When the small spirit world doesn't appear on time after a few hundred years, the major forces will start investigating. By then, the Holy Church's strength should be second to none in the polar region of Hongmeng. Yenli could not help but sigh. I did not expect the sacred master of the Saint sect to be so generous. Originally, I thought that the sacred master was just a bully who relied on his strength to bully us small tribes. If it is as we have guessed, then if our guesses are right, then this holy master really can't be underestimated. Longchen nodded and said, actually, even if the Holy Church's goal isn't what we guessed, we can't escape from it. Why do you say that? If the Holy Church doesn't collect the blood crystals to rebuild the entrance to the small spirit world, why would the major forces be moved by it? Yenli asked again. Yenli, I haven't seen you for a few hundred years. Is your vision really limited by this world? Longchen sighed and said slowly, the Holy Church has bullied hundreds of tribes for more than 500 years and collected countless blood crystals. What is their goal? Yenli shook his head, indicating that he didn't know how to answer. Longchen continued, no matter what the Holy Church's goal is, as long as we can let the major forces know that the Holy Church wants to open the small spirit world, regardless of whether it's true or not, I believe that the major forces will send people to investigate. If the major forces come, if they don't figure out the Holy Church's goal, they will definitely not give up. Yes, they will thoroughly investigate the Holy Church's goal. Hearing this, Yenli suddenly understood. As long as the major forces came to the area controlled by the Holy Church, they would definitely thoroughly investigate the Holy Church's goal of collecting the blood crystals for hundreds of years. At that time, whether the Holy Church wanted to open the small spirit world or not, under the invasion of the major forces, the Holy Church's strength would definitely be greatly reduced. Then what should we do now? Those major forces are too far away from our Yen tribe. It's not realistic to communicate with them. Yenli was still a little worried. There's an old saying that good news never leaves the house, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. Longchen said with a smile. You mean, spread rumors? Yenli asked. Chapter 1497. Under Yenli's arrangement, the Yen tribe sent out a few teams of disciples to spread the news that the saint was collecting blood crystals to open up the small spiritual world. Although this was a baseless rumor created by Longchen to kill with a borrowed knife, many tribes knew that the saint was collecting blood crystals crazily over the past few hundred years. However, they didn't know the purpose of collecting blood crystals, so they didn't go. Their doubts were due to the power of the sacred religion. Once the news came out, the tribes had evidence and almost everyone believed it. Just like what Longchen said, good news never leaves the house, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. In less than 10 days after Yenli spread the news spread from the area controlled by the saint to other places. Then, it spread throughout the entire Hongmeng polar region. In a short period of time, all the major forces in the Hongmeng polar region sent people to the edge of Hongmeng polar region. They wanted to find out what was going on in hell controlled by the saint. After all, as long as it was news about the small spiritual world, these major forces valued it greatly. As the various forces converged, the saint's control over the tribes was greatly reduced. Under Longchen's proposal, the Yen tribe stopped handing over blood crystals to the saint, and the saint didn't cause any trouble for them. Longchen gave all the cultivation methods and magic weapons that Long Yuan had collected in the White Blood tribe to Yenli so that he could use them to strengthen the overall strength of the Yen tribe. Everything was going according to plan. During this period, Longchen had gone out to explore a few times. Indeed, he had discovered many experts who had recently arrived in this area. The experts from the major forces had already arrived. After asking around, they found out that the saint had been collecting blood crystals for almost a few hundred years. This abnormal action naturally aroused the suspicions of many experts. Then, they thought about the rumor that Longchen had spread. Naturally, they believed that the rumor was true. As more and more experts gathered, it was estimated that someone would soon head to the saint's lair and stir up a storm there. The saint of the saint was a master of the consolidation realm in Hongmeng. In the area where the Yen tribe was located, he was indeed a powerful master. But in the polar region of Hongmeng, he would probably be a third-rate master. When he thought of this, Longchen realized that his strength as a fourth-stage chaotic prime in Hongmeng was not enough. What he needed to do now was to increase his strength as soon as possible so that he could play a decisive role in the siege of the saint. Longchen decided to go into seclusion. Longchen needed to break through to the fifth stage of the primordial chaos realm in Hongmeng as soon as possible with the blood crystals he had collected from the White Blood tribe. Longchen greeted Yenli and gave some instructions to Long Yuan. Then, he took the blood crystals and went into seclusion in the Yen tribe. Yenli sorted out the cultivation methods and treasures that Longchen had brought and distributed them to his tribe members. He also chose a suitable Hongmeng primordial chaos art and started to practice it. Long Yuan wanted to do this because before Longchen went into seclusion, he wanted him to contact all the tribes and tell them that they would besiege the saint in 10 days. In the beginning, many tribes were hesitant and did not dare to take the lead. But when Long Yuan said that the battle would be led by a consolidation realm master from Hongmeng, the tribes changed their attitude. In fact, there was no such thing as a consolidation realm master from Hongmeng. Longchen only knew that if he did not say so, the tribes would never agree to this operation. After arranging all this, almost all the tribes began to move. They only had to wait for 10 days to besiege the saint. At the same time, the saint was also very busy. In the main hall of the saint, a group of men in black bowed respectfully in front of a man who was sitting high up in the hall. The man in the hall had a gloomy look. He seemed to be in a bad mood. "Have you investigated clearly? Where did this news come from?" The man sitting high up in the hall reprimanded coldly. One of the black-clothed men standing at the front said slowly, "Reporting to the Holy Lord, we have investigated thoroughly over the past few days. Indeed, we did not discover any emissaries who knew about the Holy Lord's plan. It is very likely that this news was spread from outside." This man was the Holy Lord. He was the main culprit who set up the saint and bullied almost 100 tribes to collect blood crystals for him. News from outside? That's impossible. The Holy Lord was furious and said, "The tribes outside are just ignorant people. How could they know about my big plan? The news must have been leaked from the inside of the saint. My formation is about to be completed. Why did the news leak at this time? If not for this, I would have been able to monopolize the small spiritual world after I successfully open it. What is going on?" The Holy Lord's goal was the same as Long Chen's guess. He wanted to collect blood crystals, create a formation, and open the small spiritual world in advance. "Holy Lord, please calm down. Now that the news has spread, it's useless even if we find out who spread it. What's more important now is for you to deal with it," the man in black said anxiously. "Speak," the Holy Lord said impatiently. The man in black knew that if he said the wrong thing at this time, he might end up in a bad situation. However, he had to say it. Reporting to the Holy Lord, there has been an endless stream of strong people visiting the saint. The left and right guardians can't handle it anymore. Some Hongmeng consolidation realm strong people want to barge into the saint. The two guardians can't stop them, the man in black said respectfully. This is infuriating." The Holy Lord was furious. He felt as if his treasure had been snatched away from him. The Holy Lord was very patient. Ever since he got the blueprint of the formation 600 years ago, he knew that once the formation was completed, it would be able to shake the space and connect the small spiritual world, which only appeared once every 1,200 years, to the polar region of Hongmeng in advance. When the Holy Lord controlled the small spiritual world, it was equivalent to controlling the opportunity. For so many years, the Holy Lord spared no effort to collect the blood crystals needed to build the formation. Just as he was about to complete it, his plan was leaked. Moreover, the people who attracted were the powerful forces in the central region of Hongmeng, whom the Holy Lord despised the most. How could the Holy Lord not be angry? Could it be that all his hard work over the years was going to go to someone else? The sacred Lord clenched his teeth, and deified ripples surrounded his body. He lowered his voice and said, "Tell the left and right protectors to do their best to stop those who have intruded into our sacred church. No matter how strong they are, stop them if you can. Also, send all the blood crystals to the base of the formation at the back of the mountain. We can make a decision tomorrow when the formation is completed." "Yes, sir." Chapter 1498. With the passage of time, the rumors that Long Chen had spread had gradually developed to the point of no return. At the beginning, the saint was collecting blood crystals to open the small spiritual world in advance. Now, it was rumored that the saint had already opened the small spiritual world. The small spiritual world's entrance could be entered by collecting blood crystals. Long Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the sudden change. However, no matter how the rumor developed, its initial goal had been achieved. The rumor successfully attracted the attention of the major forces in the central region of Hongmeng. Long Chen was also prepared to attack the saint. After a few days of seclusion, Long Chen refined and absorbed more than 20 blood crystals and successfully stepped into the 5th level of the chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. At the same time, Long Chen also reorganized the Chaos Golden Code and 8-part Heavenly Dragon technique that he cultivated. His strength was greatly stabilized. Yanli also mastered more than half of the Hongmeng Chaotic Prime technique that he cultivated. coupled with the magic weapon that he just obtained, his strength increased greatly. Just like that, it was the 10th day, the day that they agreed to attack the saint with the major tribes. Yanli, I asked Long Yuan to go out and take a look. Almost 50 tribes have already sent people. Obviously, they agree with our previous plan. The remaining tribes will probably wait and see. However, we don't have time to care about this. The Yen tribe also needs to send people. If we go to the saint, we can only fight to the death with the saint if we make a scene. Longchen said slowly. Yanli nodded and said, don't worry about this. Most of the Yen tribe will go to the saint and gather with the other tribes. I don't know what you're thinking. Do you want to go with me? Longchen shook his head and said, I have other plans. Many major forces in the central region of Hongmeng have come these days. I believe that they have already used their abilities to investigate the saint, but there is no news from the outside. At the same time, the saint has been much more restrained. I keep feeling that something is wrong, so I plan to go with Long Yuan to the saint and find out what's going on. That's good too. With you helping us gather information, the uprising army outside won't be completely in the dark. Yanli agreed with Long Chen's approach. There was no time to lose. Long Chen took Long Yuan and left first. After some reorganization, Yanli also brought the people of the Yen tribe to the saint. The war between the tribe and the saint was about to break out. Long Chen and Long Yuan flew all the way and soon saw the location of the saint according to the route that Yanli had told them. This was a relatively flat mountain range. The main hall of the saint was built between two mountain peaks, and it was imposing. However, Long Chen felt a strong aura of an array formation when he looked at the sacred sect's main hall from afar. The aura of this formation was even stronger than the Golden Lotus God-killing formation and monstrous Starlight formation that Long Chen was familiar with. Long Chen could not help it. He was surprised. Could it be that his guess was right? If the blood crystals were really used to build a formation, then was the function of this formation to rebuild the connection between the small spiritual world and the polar region of Hongmeng? The two of them stood not far from the mountain gate of the saint. Long Yuan saw that Long Chen did not speak for a long time, so he said, Master, there are people from the saint guarding in front. Should we force our way in or find another way? Long Chen pondered for a moment and said, We can't force our way in. The aura of the formation in the Holy Church is too strong. Moreover, the rebel army of the tribe hasn't arrived yet. If we force our way in, we might alert the enemy and let the saint be prepared. Let's go to the back of the saint to take a look. Since the main hall was built on the mountain, there must be another way to enter the saint. Long Yuan nodded and said, I'll listen to you, Master. Long Chen's face was solemn and said, Come with me quickly. We must find out the purpose of the saint collecting the blood crystals. I must take revenge for what happened 500 years ago. After Long Chen left, there was a sudden commotion in front of the mountain gate of the saint. The men in black guarding the saint took a look and immediately panicked. He immediately panicked and hurriedly reported to his superiors. It turned out that the rebel army formed by the tribes had rushed to the mountain gate of the Holy Church. In front of them, the rebel army had gathered the elites of more than 50 tribes. The total number of people was close to 2,000. As the initiator of this rebellion, Yanli was naturally elected as the leader of this rebel army. The rebel army was made up of the bravest and strongest men from each tribe. The strongest was a 7th-stage chaotic prime tribe leader of the Hong sect. The weakest was a young man of the 2nd-stage chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng. Before the war, Yanli deliberately asked the other tribes about the overall strength of the saint. However, no tribe could give him detailed information about the saint. Although he knew nothing about the enemy, Yanli was still very confident. In general, with the strength of this rebel army, they had the power to fight against the saint. The premise was that the saint leader of the saint did not take action. After all, the difference between Hongmeng's consolidation realm and Hongmeng's chaotic prime realm was not small. However, Yanli received news that the saint leader would naturally be dealt with by experts. What they needed to deal with were the men in black who had been at the saint's beck and call for the past few hundred years. Under the command of Yenli, the rebel army advanced together and attacked the saint with great momentum. In an instant, war cries could be heard everywhere. When the saint was established, they probably did not expect such a situation to occur. Therefore, the buildings of the saint were very fragile. They could not even withstand a full-force attack from Hong Meng's chaotic primes. All kinds of Hong Meng's chaotic primes' skill exploded in the mountain gate of the saint. Waves of divine radiance shot out in succession. Within the saint, many of the men in black immediately launched a counterattack. However, what Yenli and the rebel army did not expect was that there were only about 200 people in the saint who had terrorized all the tribes in this region and forced them to submit. How ironic was this? If all the tribes had gathered together to besiege the saint a few hundred years ago, how could they have been bullied and humiliated for almost 500 years? This time, with the Yen tribe taking the lead, although the tribes that were much stronger than the Yen tribe responded to the call to arms, they still elected Yenli, who was not the strongest, to be the leader of this rebellion. In the end, they were just afraid of getting shot at the bird that stood out. When the rebel army of almost 1,000 people discovered this fact, their morale was greatly boosted. Although the overall strength of the men in black in the saint was several levels higher than the rebel army, they were still defeated by the army that was 5 times their size. Chapter 1499. At the back of the Saint's Mountain, 2 parties were in a stalemate. On one side was a group of close to 50 people. Many of them were slightly aged elders. However, every movement of these people constantly emitted waves of primordial aura. Experts. These people were the experts from the major forces in the central region of Hong Meng after hearing the rumors spread by Long Chen. They had rushed here to investigate the saint. Today, they entered the saint together to thoroughly understand the outside world. Whether the rumors were true. On the other side, there were the remaining forces of the saint. The 2 guardians and the remaining dozens of black-robed men stood in front of the experts from the major forces. They did not have the slightest intention of backing down. On the saint's side, a guardian bowed to the experts from the major forces and said, "Seniors, I have already told you many times that there is nothing in the saint that you want. Moreover, the saint has not interacted with you for hundreds of years. Today, all of you have sneaked into the back of the saint's mountain. I wonder what your intentions are." If Long Chen was present, he would definitely recognize that the guardian who spoke was the culprit who had seriously injured him 500 years ago, forcing Long Chen to recuperate for 500 years. As soon as he finished speaking, a white-haired old man among the experts from the major forces said, "Guardians, we have come here today to meet the Saint Lord of the Saint." As the guardian said, the saint has no grudges with us in the past. If the saint really does not have what we want to know, we will not offend you. Moreover, your holy church is in imminent danger now, so please don't stop it anymore. If you insist on doing so, then. If you insist, don't blame us for being merciless. The guardian naturally knew that the experts from the major forces were existences that they could not afford to offend. However, he had no choice but to obey the Saint Lord's orders. After weighing the pros and cons, the guardian said, "Seniors, I can say it here. The rumors spread by the outside world are really stupid and ridiculous. The saint does not have such monstrous abilities. Please believe it." As soon as he said that, some of the experts from the large forces became impatient. A burly man said sternly, "Who do you think you are? You're just an ant at the 6th level of the primordial chaos realm. Don't tell me your holy church doesn't have the ability to do that. Then why have you been oppressing more than 200 tribes in this area for hundreds of years to collect those useless blood crystals?" The guardian found it difficult to answer. If the experts were not satisfied with what he said, the saint, who had already suffered heavy casualties, would likely be annihilated if they attacked. Just as the experts from the major forces were about to force their way in, a loud roar came from the back mountain of the saint. Before everyone could react, several huge pillars of divine radiance soared into the sky, emitting scorching heat. In just a few breaths of time, the entire back mountain of the sacred sect had turned into a domain. What is this? The burly man who spoke before could not help but cover his eyes. Under the dazzling divine light, even the powerhouses from the major forces were suppressed to varying degrees for a moment. The entire back of the Saints' Mountain suddenly turned into a blood-red domain. In mid-air, the 5 huge divine light pillars gathered in the air and painted a violent picture scroll. The blood-red domain continued to expand. In just a few breaths, it enveloped the entire Saints' Mountain within a radius of dozens of miles. A pure blood-red pressure swept over, immediately suppressing everyone's body. Some of the weaker black-clothed men were unable to withstand this pressure, and with a plop, they knelt down, no longer having the strength to fight. A huge divine light storm formed in the air. The eye of the storm began to rotate and an endless blood-red aura burst out. It seems that the rumors are true. The saint really has a great array to monopolize the small spirit world. Among the great powers, the white-haired old man controlled his body to prevent the storm of divine splendor from shaking him as he explained what he thought was going to happen. He also told everyone present what he thought. So what if you know? The great array has been formed and the small spirit world is about to appear. Everyone will be buried here. An arrogant laughter came from the divine light storm. The divine light storm raged and emitted a dazzling light. The huge divine light storm began to vibrate. Every time it vibrated, countless divine lights and blood auras would scatter. At this point, the great array built by the Holy Lord was perfectly formed. The destructive oppression tightly bound everyone in the saint, making them unable to move even half a step. At this time, Long Chen and Long Yuan became the fish that escaped the net of this great array. After Long Chen explored the surroundings of the saint, he and Long Yuan slowly advanced from the side of the back of the Saints' Mountain. They wanted to sneak in. In the beginning, Long Chen did not advance for long before he was blocked by the saint's array. Just when Long Chen did not know what to do, Long Chen and Long Yuan did not expect the saint's array to disappear. This made Long Chen overjoyed. The two of them took advantage of this opportunity to advance quickly and entered the back of the Saints' Mountain without any effort. Long Chen felt a heavy pressure the moment he entered. It was a spacious flat land. Several huge cauldrons were located everywhere on the flat land, emitting an extremely strong aura of blood crystals. The position of the cauldrons was very mysterious. Long Chen looked carefully and confirmed that these cauldrons were the foundation of a great array. "Master, is this a great array?" Long Yuan asked. Long Chen nodded and said, "Yes, it seems that my previous guess was right. The saint's purpose of collecting blood crystals is to build a great array. Perhaps because of the many experts who came these days, the Holy Lord had no choice but to open the great array in advance. So now, what should we do?" Long Yuan asked. Long Chen smiled and said, "Let's observe first. If the purpose of this array is to open the small spirit world in advance, why don't we wait for the array to be completed before taking action?" Chapter 1500. Just as Long Chen's voice fell, a black vortex suddenly appeared in the blood-red sky. Soon, before anyone could react, the vortex gradually expanded, and a strong and dense Hongmeng aura spread out. Long Chen could clearly feel that the Hongmeng aura coming from the black vortex was very different from the Hongmeng aura he had come into contact with before. The Hongmeng aura in front of him was too pure, almost without the slightest impurity. If there were no surprises, the other side of this black vortex would undoubtedly be the small spirit world. The powerhouses of the large forces also felt the pure Hongmeng aura, and for a moment, everyone could not help but be overjoyed. "I didn't expect this rumor to be true. The small spirit world can actually be opened in advance." The burly man shouted loudly. Although the large formation cast by the Holy Lord produced an almost domineering pressure on the area where the Holy Church was located, the group of powerhouses from the large forces relied on the tyrannical strength of the Hongmeng consolidation realm to forcefully resist this pressure. The old man said, "Everyone, don't be excited. The most important thing now is to wait for the entrance to the small spirit world to be completely stabilized before we carry out other plans." As soon as these words were said, everyone understood the old man's meaning. The Holy Lord's purpose was nothing more than to open the small spirit world, and their group of people came here for the small spirit world. Now that the small spirit world had appeared, the goals of both sides had naturally been achieved. As long as the Holy Lord completed the construction of the entrance to the small spirit world, they would be able to take action and reap the benefits. However, at this moment, a sinister laugh suddenly came from the divine storm. "Old things, you're dreaming. I spent a lot of effort and spent a total of 600 years to activate the large formation. I'm not stupid enough to share the small spirit world with you people. Impossible." As the Holy Lord's voice fell, the overwhelming blood-red pressure suddenly disappeared. Immediately after, a figure rushed out of the divine storm and directly escaped into the black vortex. The Holy Lord had already entered the small spirit world. Before the experts could react, an incomparably tyrannical divine radiance shot out from the original divine radiance storm and charged straight down. "Oh no, this Saint Master wants to destroy the formation base and the entrance to the small spirit world." The old man's expression changed, and he looked extremely panicked. The burly man cursed, "How dare he! Watch me block this move." Before he finished speaking, the burly man's figure flashed and appeared in front of the divine radiance in an instant. However, what was unexpected was that before the tyrannical divine splendor, the burly man didn't even have time to make a move before he was forcefully blasted to the side by the enormous pressure brought by the divine splendor. The burly man fell heavily to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. This is impossible." After saying this, the burly man fainted. Seeing the burly man's fate, the experts of the major forces were still eager to make a move. For them, as long as they could protect the small spirit world, they would obtain a huge opportunity in the future. Looking at this scene, the old man couldn't help but clench his fists and say, "Everyone, please wait. The power of this divine radiance is the accumulation of all the power of this large formation. It's far from what we can stop. Don't risk your lives." As soon as these words came out, there was a commotion among the remaining people. It wasn't easy to see the small spirit world being opened in advance. Are we really going to watch it be destroyed? Someone in the crowd shouted in grief and indignation. "If you don't want to, you can go and stop it. I'll say it first. The power of this divine radiance is almost the full blow of a Hong Meng consolidation realm expert. If you're confident, go." The old man roared. Just like this, the experts of the major forces quieted down and helplessly watched the divine radiance fall. The divine radiance was still moving forward. Its destination was the base of the large formation built by the Holy Lord. While Long Chen and Long Yuan were investigating the cauldron in the base of the formation, an almost destructive pressure came and firmly pressed the two of them to the ground. When they looked up, the divine radiance that was whistling toward them gave the two of them a fright. Long Chen immediately understood the function of this divine radiance. It destroyed the base of the formation, destroyed the large formation, and destroyed the entrance to the small spirit world. "Master, save me." Long Yuan was controlled by the sudden pressure and had difficulty speaking. Just like what the old man had said before, the power of this divine radiance was the full blow of a Hong Meng consolidation realm expert. With Long Chen's ability as a Hong Meng chaotic prime, he had no chance to attack in front of this divine radiance. Seeing that the divine radiance was about to fall, the master and disciple were about to die under this divine radiance. Long Chen half knelt on the ground and blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The pressure of the divine radiance had eroded his 7 meridians and 8 meridians. At this time, even if he had the power to change the world in his body, he could not use it at all. At this moment, Long Mu, who had been silent in the Dragon Palace all this time, suddenly spoke. Long Mu obviously also felt the destructive power of this divine radiance. The figure that spoke was extremely solemn. "Kid, don't be nervous. In the end, this divine radiance is just from the previous formation. Stand up quickly and use the monstrous starlight formation. Maybe you can block it." The monstrous starlight formation was a top-grade formation of the primordial Chaos Dragon clan. When Longchen was still at the 4th level of the primordial chaos prime realm, he could use this formation to fight to a draw with the old monster of the White Blood tribe, who was at the 5th level of the primordial chaos prime realm. Now that Longchen was at Hongmeng chaotic prime level 5, could the monstrous starlight formation withstand a divine radiance that was comparable to the full blow of a Hongmeng consolidation realm expert? Longchen endured the huge pressure and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Am I going to die like this? I'm not willing. I can't die. Longchen muttered in his heart. An invisible force seemed to radiate from his body. Longchen slowly stood up and shouted, "Rise!" His voice resounded throughout the entire back mountain of the Saint Church. In an instant, Longchen moved. First, he scattered the blood crystals that he carried with him. At the same time, a golden light flashed around Longchen's body. With a violent explosion, all the blood crystals exploded in an instant, and a dense blood spirit chi spread out. Longchen quickly grabbed Long Yuan, who had fallen to the side, and hid next to a cauldron. Suddenly, the sky changed color and starlight floated. Longchen's body formed a starlight domain around Longchen, enveloping the cauldron and Longchen together. The divine radiance swept through an endless torrent and fell with a loud bang. Monstrous waves suddenly exploded in the Saint Church. Boom! Chapter 1501. After the huge explosion, there was a series of tremors. It was not until nearly half an hour later that the power of the divine splendor slowly subsided. As the divine splendor fell, the black vortex in midair gradually collapsed. Soon, only a crack was left. Just when everyone thought that the crack was about to collapse, something unexpected happened. This meant that the crack stubbornly survived, standing tall in the air without collapsing. Sensing the aura of Hongmeng through the crack, the group of powerhouses from the central part of Hongmeng's polar region quickly confirmed that they could still go to the small spirit world through this crack. However, none of the people present dared to move. After all, under the destructive divine splendor, the crack might collapse at any time. When that time came, the danger was self-evident. After the power of the divine splendor completely subsided, the group of powerhouses hurriedly rushed to the back mountain of the Holy Church. They wanted to know what it was that could leave a crack in the entrance of the small spirit world under the divine splendor. The originally empty flat ground had completely collapsed. Broken cauldrons were everywhere under the bombardment of the divine splendor. The faint aura of the blood crystal was still drifting in the air. Just as everyone was feeling extremely disappointed, someone shouted, "Look here!" Everyone looked over and finally found a cauldron that was completely undamaged. Next to the cauldron, there were two people. Longchen's clothes were ragged and his body was dripping with blood. Long Yuan was lying next to him, unconscious. Around Longchen and the remaining cauldron, there was a thin starlight barrier that firmly blocked the falling divine splendor. He's just a Hongmeng 5th stage chaotic prime junior. How could he block that divine splendor? Someone exclaimed. The old man looked at the starlight barrier around Longchen. When he sensed that Longchen was still alive in the barrier, he was shocked. "Young master, can you hear this old man?" The old man asked gently. Longchen supported the starlight barrier around his body with all his might and nodded with an extremely small movement. The power of the divine splendor was simply too powerful. Longchen detonated all the blood crystals in his possession and used the power from them to pour into the monstrous starlight formation. Coupled with the power generated from the primal chaos golden codex, he was barely able to block the invasion of the divine radiance. Even though he managed to block it, Longchen still suffered a violent impact when the divine splendor fell. Long Yuan could not withstand it at all and immediately fainted. He was still unconscious. Longchen, although he was still conscious, he was an arrow at the end of its flight. Starlight, starlight array! The old man said loudly, "Young master, no matter who you are, since you've protected this remaining array foundation cauldron, you've also preserved the entrance to the small spiritual world. I, Yu Mingyan, can heal your injuries." If you can give this cauldron to me, even if you want to join my green jade tribe in the future, I, Yu Mingyan, will personally welcome you. Yu Mingyan, don't try to curry favor with us. You're just trying to gain control of the entrance to the small spirit world. In my opinion, since the entrance to the small spirit world is real, we have to follow the rules set by our ancestors. All tribes in Hongmeng's polar regions are qualified to enter the small spirit world. Someone shouted. Yu Mingyan glanced at the person and said, He Songhua, you're just a third-stage consolidation realm in Hongmeng. Be careful, I'll slaughter your Great River tribe and then kill you. Yu Mingyan, how dare you? He Songhua shouted. Stop arguing. Another person in the crowd said, Now's not the time to argue. Senior Yu, He Songhua's words make sense. Since the small spirit world has appeared in the world ahead of time, we have to follow the rules set by our ancestors. We can't do what happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. The person who spoke was called Yilan. He came from the Yehua tribe in the center of Hongmeng's polar regions. Although Yilan's strength was only at the first stage consolidation realm in Hongmeng and ranked at the bottom among the experts, no one dared to provoke Yilan. There was no other reason other than that the Yehua tribe that Yilan belonged to was a large tribe. It was an existence that they could not afford to offend. When Yu Mingyan heard Yilan's words, he calmed down and said, Everyone, I, Yu Mingyan, have no intention of monopolizing the small spirit world. It's just that I admire this young master for being able to survive under the divine light. As for the small spirit world. Enough. Just as Yu Mingyan was speaking, Long Chen, who was within the starlight barrier, shouted angrily, attracting everyone's attention. This time, I will determine the qualifications to enter the small spirit world. Long Chen shouted. How dare you? When He Songhua heard this, he could not help but be furious. He said, You're just a fifth-stage chaotic prime kid from Hongmeng who happened to be protecting this cauldron. Do you know that this small spirit world is shared by all the tribes in Hongmeng's polar regions? What right do you have to say such words? You're the one who has no right to speak here. Long Chen shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the experts changed. Long Chen continued, As long as I want to, I can destroy this remaining array foundation cauldron. At that time, not to mention you, even everyone in Hongmeng's polar regions will be helpless in front of the entrance to the small spirit world. What, do you want to fight? Let me remind you, I'm now one with the array foundation cauldron. If you hit me, this array foundation cauldron will explode on the spot. How dare you? He Songhua was about to attack when Yilan hurriedly said, Brother He, please don't be angry. What he said makes sense. Since he can survive under the divine light, he naturally has his own ability. If something happens to this remaining array foundation cauldron, I'm afraid that the remaining crack in the sky will disappear. Hearing this, He Songhua could only put away the posture he had just assumed. Young master, what are your conditions? Just say it. As long as we can do it, we'll do as you say, Yu Mingyan said slowly. Long Chen nodded and said slowly, First, now that I'm seriously injured, I want you to hand over some healing elixirs. Of course, I can give them to you now. I guarantee that after young master takes them, your injuries will be healed in an hour at most, Yu Mingyan said with a smile. Second, after I remove the array, send someone to protect this remaining cauldron to prevent the crack in the sky from disappearing. Yilan replied, Okay, I'll protect this cauldron. I guarantee that it won't be damaged. I don't think anyone here has any objections. Chapter 1502. What? When He Songhua heard Long Chen's third condition, he couldn't help but be furious. He said, The qualification to enter the small spiritual world was set by our ancestors more than 100,000 years ago. How can it be changed just like that? Moreover, it's changed by a brat at the primordial chaos realm? If you don't agree, I'll destroy the remaining array base. Then, the Big River tribe will enter the small spiritual world 400 years later according to the rules set by our ancestors. Long Chen said firmly. Okay. Yilan nodded and said, I agree to the conditions proposed by little brother. Yilan, that's the rule set by our ancestors. How can you? Hisonghua was puzzled. Yilan was also angered by Hisonghua's recklessness. She couldn't help but scold, what? Does your big river tribe really want to give up this opportunity to enter the small spirit world and wait for another 400 years? Hisonghua was suddenly speechless. Little brother, although I don't know where you came from, since you have such courage and can make such a grand decision, the Yehua tribe will fully support you. Yilan said loudly. At this time, Yanli arrived with the tribe warriors who were fighting with the saint. When Yanli saw Longchen, who was in rags and dripping with blood, he ignored the experts present and hurried to Longchen's side. Longchen, how did this happen? How are you now? Yanli was very anxious. I'm fine. I won't die. I'm negotiating with these people. Remember to take me to a safe place later. Longchen whispered in Yanli's ear. Since you've agreed, I'll take back the formation. However, I need to remind you that I've left 2 blood crystals in the cauldron. Furthermore, I've cast some secret skills on them. If you want to return, I'll blow up the cauldron. No one will benefit from it, Longchen said slowly. The experts were also surprised. They didn't expect Longchen to have such means. Don't worry about that, my Yehua tribe would never do such a treacherous thing. After saying that, Yilan looked at the experts behind him and said in a clear voice, I believe that none of you will do it. If I, Yilan, find out about this, it means that you are going against the Yehua tribe. The group of powerhouses looked at each other, tacitly agreeing with Longchen's condition. Longchen looked at Yumingyan and said, Senior, please fulfill your promise. Yumingyan smiled. He took out 2 bottles of elixirs and handed them to Yanli. After receiving the elixir, Longchen said softly, anyone who arrives here within 10 days will be qualified to enter the small spirit world. Senior, please abide by the agreement. As soon as he finished speaking, Longchen's body collapsed. When Longchen woke up, he saw Long Yuan's expectant eyes. Master, you're finally awake. Long Yuan said excitedly. Longchen slightly calmed down the aura in his body. After a slight reaction, he stood up and said, how many days have I slept? Long Yuan said, 5 days, a full 5 days. To tell you the truth, the elixir you got is really too useful. I suffered such a serious injury, but it only took 3 days for me to completely recover. Longchen nodded and said, that's good. I wonder how the small spirit world is doing. Are those people still acting according to the agreement? When Long Yuan heard this, he scratched his head and said, I just woke up not long ago. I'll let Patriarch Yan tell you. Long Yuan quickly called Yanli. When Yanli saw Longchen waking up, he was overjoyed and said, sit down first. You suffered such a serious injury, you still have to recuperate. Longchen sat down slowly and said hurriedly, I'm fine. How's the small spirit world now? Yanli was also helpless about Longchen's behavior. He shrugged and said, everything is according to the agreement you made with those people. Those people protected the only cauldron left in the Saint sect and spread the news. During the 5 days when you were unconscious, the news of the small spirit world's appearance spread throughout the Hongmeng Polar region. When the people in the Hongmeng Polar region knew the rule you set, that as long as anyone dared to come here within 10 days, regardless of their status and realm, they could enter the small spirit world, the entire Hongmeng Polar region was in an uproar. Even the other polar regions sent people here. How many people came in these 5 days? Longchen asked. In these 5 days, more than 500 tribes have entered the small spirit world. Of course, there are still many tribes that haven't arrived. I don't know how many more tribes will come in the next few days. Yanli said with some loneliness. Longchen nodded and said, did the Yan tribe send people? Yanli shook his head and said, the Yan tribe is still a small tribe. In the eyes of those big tribes, it's really not enough. Moreover, there are too many unknowns in the small spirit world. After the war with the Saint sect, the Yan tribe also suffered a lot. It will take a long time for them to recover. Especially after this incident, I've also seen through it. What Hong Meng's consolidation realm, Hong Meng's primordial spirit realm, they're all nothing to me now. I, Yinli, have reached this point in my life. Protecting my Yan tribe is my lifelong pursuit. Hearing this, Longchen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yinli, you've become like this. I don't know what to say. Yinli smiled and said, then don't say anything. Quickly recover and go to the small spirit world. Longchen let out a long breath and said, Yinli, you know me best. Don't forget, you'll always have me, Yinli, as your brother in the polar region of Hongmeng. Yinli said in a clear voice. After a short period of recuperation, Longchen packed up the things that Yinli had prepared for him and was about to leave. Before leaving, Longchen couldn't help but ask, Yinli, are you really willing? Yinli smiled and said, I'm not cut out for that. I don't have a heaven-defying aptitude like yours. Even if I'm unwilling, I have to. I know that you've used your life to exchange for this strange rule. You must have your own plans. The small spirit world can only be encountered by chance. If you miss it, it'll be too late to regret it. Longchen said goodbye to Yinli and walked towards the entrance of the small spirit world with Long Yuan. Yinli was right. The reason why Longchen had set such a strange rule was naturally because he had his own plans, which were unique to Longchen. The news of the small spirit world's appearance would definitely spread throughout the entire polar region of Hongmeng. Even other polar regions would get the news. With the rule set by Longchen, many people would probably come to seek an opportunity. Based on what Longchen knew, if Jianshursan and Zhu Zi knew about this news, they would probably come to join in the fun even if they had to risk their lives. At that time, it would be much easier to find his two unlucky disciples. Chapter 1503. Soon, Longchen arrived at the previous Saint Church, which was also the entrance to the small spirit world. The originally deserted place was now crowded with people. Longchen wanted to see if there were any traces of Jianshursan and Zhu Xin in the crowd, but he found it unrealistic. These people came from all over Hongmeng's polar region with only one purpose, to enter the small spirit world. Because there was only one crack left at the entrance to the small spirit world, only one person could pass through at a time. Therefore, every tribe that arrived had to line up to enter. Although Longchen had some friendship with the powerhouses of the major forces guarding the Array Foundation furnace, he was not willing to go through the back door to avoid attracting attention. Therefore, Longchen asked Long Yuan to line up on his behalf while he passed through the crowd and went to the back mountain of the Saint Church. At this time, the back mountain of the Saint Church was already guarded by many guards. Longchen spent a lot of effort to persuade the guards, but he was unable to do so until he met Yu Mingyan, whom he had met before. Only then did he successfully pass through the guards. Thank you for the elixir, Senior, Longchen said respectfully. Yu Mingyan chuckled and said, although the elixir is effective, you can recover in just 5 days. It's your ability. Are you also going to enter the small spirit world today? Longchen nodded and said, yes. The small spirit world is full of dangers. With your strength of the 5th stage chaotic prime realm in Hongmeng, it's really a bit dangerous. Yu Mingyan shook his head. Senior, as the saying goes, wealth comes from danger. It's true that the small spirit world is full of dangers, but it's also self-evident that there are opportunities inside. Otherwise, why would so many people rush to enter the small spirit world? Longchen said slowly. Young man, you have ambition. This old master didn't misjudge you. You were destined to be extraordinary since you were able to withstand that divine splendor that day. The people of my Green Jade tribe entered the small spirit world yesterday. After you enter, if you meet them, you can mention my name. They will definitely treat you as one of their own. If there's anything you need, you can ask the people of my Green Jade tribe to lend a helping hand, Yu Mingyan said with a smile. Longchen nodded. Thank you for your kindness, Senior. If we really meet the Green Jade tribe in the small spiritual world, we'll surely help each other. Okay, you want to see that cauldron, right? Go quickly, the Yawa tribe has been guarding it for 5 days. Yu Mingyan pointed at the back mountain of the saint. Goodbye, senior. After leaving the nether jade flame, Longchen dashed towards the cauldron. Yilan was meditating with her eyes closed in front of the cauldron. Perhaps she sensed Longchen's arrival. She immediately opened her eyes. He's here. Longchen naturally did not know the supernatural powers of such a great figure. He could only say, Senior, this time I'm here. Needless to say, I know. You can go to the small spirit world in peace. After 10 days, I will forbid others from entering the small spirit world. I won't touch the formation on the cauldron. In addition, I will open the cauldron again in half a year. At that time, all of you must come out within 10 days. Otherwise, you will have to wait for 400 years, Yilan slowly said. It turned out that Longchen left a monstrous starlight formation on the cauldron in order to negotiate with Yilan and the others. When he left, he did not remove it. This time, he came for this matter. Hearing Yilan's words, Longchen was relieved. He couldn't help but feel that he was measuring the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. He smiled awkwardly and said, In that case, thank you, Senior. This junior will take his leave. Wait. Yilan called out to Longchen. Is there anything else, Senior? Yilan slowly said, The people of my Yawa tribe have entered the small spirit world. If you see them in the small spirit world, please take care of them. Hearing this, Longchen could not help but be shocked. The Yawa tribe was a large tribe in the polar region of Hongmeng. She actually asked Longchen to take care of them. Although Longchen did not know why Yilan would say such a thing, he thought of Yilan's behavior and replied, This junior will definitely abide by this agreement. After that, Longchen left the back mountain of the Saint sect and rushed to meet up with Long Yuan. After Longchen left, Yilan looked at the starlight quietly floating on the cauldron in front of him and muttered, What a genius. I really don't know how big a storm this kid will cause in the small spirit world. Finally, Longchen and Long Yuan entered the crack together and came to the small spirit world. Longchen only felt a burst of brilliance surging around his body. Before he could react, a huge suction force wrapped around his body, and his consciousness suddenly became muddled. After a few breaths, when Longchen regained consciousness again, his body slammed heavily on the ground. After expending a great deal of effort, Longchen finally stood up. Long Yuan, who was at the side, was not much better. He lay on the ground and cried out a few times before he could get up. This was an area of yellow sand, and the green area visible to the naked eye was scattered. In the east of this area, there were a few looming mountains, and it seemed that people were gathering. This is the small spirit world? Longchen said slowly. Long Yuan looked around with Longchen's gaze and could not help but sigh, Master, the aura here is a bit wrong. Hearing this, Longchen's mind moved, and he tried to feel it. What a strong Hongmeng aura. Just by breathing, Longchen strongly felt that the Hongmeng aura in this small spirit world was many times stronger than outside. Longchen tried to operate the primal chaos golden codex, and a burst of golden light appeared. The strong Hongmeng aura in the outside world suddenly turned into bursts of golden light and entered Longchen's body through his 7 meridians. Like a warm current, it immediately spread in Longchen's body. No wonder so many people rushed to the small spirit world. With the strong Hongmeng aura between heaven and earth, it is more than several times stronger than the Hongmeng polar region outside, Longchen said slowly as he stopped practicing. Boy, this place is very strange. The aura of Hongmeng is so strong. With your physique, as long as you have some opportunities, you may be able to break through to the Hongmeng consolidation realm in a very short time. Although Long Mu was in the Dragon Palace, he knew the changes in the outside world like the back of his hand. It was at this time that Longchen suddenly felt a strong vibration. Before Longchen could figure out the reason, he heard Long Yuan beside him shouting. Master, there is a demonic beast. Chapter 1504. Looking at the 7 demonic beasts that looked like jackals and wolves, and then sensing the incomparably ferocious grand mist aura emanating from the demonic beasts, Longchen immediately became nervous. They had just arrived in the small spirit world and had not even had the time to look around before they were surrounded by monster beasts. Their luck was really unparalleled. Long Yuan, I'm not sure about the strength of these monster beasts. You must be careful. Longchen reminded him. Long Yuan nodded, looking even more nervous. Relax. You're a Hongmeng chaotic prime level 4 after all. No matter how heaven-defying these monster beasts are, they can't be stronger than you. As soon as Longchen finished speaking, he activated the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon Art. The dragon halberd appeared and 2 golden dragons whizzed out. It was also at this moment that the 7 wolf-like monster beasts around him seemed to have received some kind of order. Their 7 majestic bodies stepped out at the same time, leaving behind a trail of Hongmeng Qi behind them. Longchen did not hesitate. The dragon halberd whistled and a golden dragon immediately pierced out. Long Yuan followed closely behind and also used his killer move. Roar! The 7 wolf-like monster beasts were wrapped in an extremely unstable Hongmeng aura. Their sharp claws glowed with a faint green light. Longchen aimed at one of the wolf-like monster beasts. The dragon halberd was forcefully pierced into the wolf-like monster beast's body. Swish! The golden dragon pierced through the wolf-like monster beast's body. A loud explosion was heard, causing waves of ripples. Long Yuan, who was at the side, attacked with all his strength. He also repelled a wolf-like monster beast in an instant, but he did not kill it. The 5 wolf-like monster beasts were naturally much more relaxed since they were not obstructed. They immediately bit and scratched Longchen and Long Yuan. Longchen activated the Primal Chaos Golden Codex and immediately shook off the wolf-like monster beasts. Even so, the wolf-like monster beasts still left scratches on Longchen's body. The strength of these wolf-like monster beasts could not be underestimated. After just one round, Longchen realized this. To be able to leave scratches on Longchen's body with the help of the Primal Chaos Golden Codex, the strength of these demonic beasts had to be above the Primal Chaos realm in Hongmeng. The 5 demonic jackal beasts pounced forward. They were immediately shocked by the Primal Chaos Golden Code around Longchen, causing them to feel some pain. Even so, the 5 demonic jackal beasts did not show any signs of retreating. They only rested for a moment before pouncing forward again. After that, Longchen and his companion were entangled by the 5 jackal demonic beasts. With their first experience, the 5 jackal demonic beasts relied on their nimble bodies to dodge Longchen's dragon halberd every time. Moreover, they relied on their advantage in numbers. Every time he used Sure, it would leave wounds of various sizes on Longchen's body. Moreover, what made Longchen even more uncomfortable was that the jackal demonic beast that Long Yuan had injured before was still eyeing Longchen and his companion covetously. It was as if it was waiting to eat Longchen and his companion. Under such an entanglement, Longchen finally became anxious. He also became ruthless and shouted, "Long Yuan, back off." Long Yuan understood tacitly and immediately understood Longchen's meaning. Longchen wanted to kill these jackal demonic beasts with one move. Long Yuan hurriedly took a few steps back. With a few moves, he arrived in front of the injured jackal demonic beast and killed it with one move. The remaining 7 jackal demonic beasts surrounded Longchen tightly. Several fierce Hongmeng auras were emitted from the jackal demonic beasts' bodies, which made people's hearts tremble. Longchen held the dragon halberd in his hand. Golden light appeared around his body. Gradually, several golden dragons spiraled out. Longchen's Hongmeng primordial spirit suddenly appeared, shining brightly in midair. With the support of the Chaos Golden Code, Longchen felt that he was full of power at this moment. Perhaps because the Hongmeng aura in the current environment was too strong, Longchen clearly felt that the power of the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon spell was obviously stronger than before. It was several times stronger. Longchen held his breath and used the Hongmeng aura to condense the 5 Hongmeng primordial spirits in his body. At the same time, he waved the dragon halberd in his hand and operated the 8-division heavenly dragon spell directly to the peak. Heavenly dragon, rise. 8 golden dragons rushed towards the 5 jackal demonic beasts. The Hongmeng aura was like a tide, sweeping out. Boom! A huge explosion sounded. The 5 jackal demonic beasts were all dead under the huge bombardment of the 8-division heavenly dragon spell. Seeing this situation, Longchen stopped the spell and slowly landed on the ground. Master, come and see. Long Yuan's voice sounded behind Longchen. Longchen turned around and saw Long Yuan holding a piece of crystal that was shining with green light. His face was full of joy. Longchen walked over and asked, "What is this?" Long Yuan turned the crystal in his hand around and said, "I got it from the jackal demonic beasts. It's probably similar to the blood crystals and the blood demons in the polar regions of Hongmeng. Let me see." Longchen reached out and took the crystal. The moment Longchen touched the crystal, he felt a strong Hongmeng aura. After carefully observing the crystal, Longchen said slowly, "If I'm not wrong, the demonic beasts in this small spiritual world are born as powerful Hongmeng demonic beasts because of this unique environment. And these demonic beasts should have condensed these crystals that are full of Hongmeng aura. Although I don't know what to call these crystals specifically, I feel that these crystals are very suitable for us practitioners to refine and absorb. Its effect should be better than the ones in the polar regions of Hongmeng. Better than the blood crystals. Better than the blood crystals?" Long Yuan's eyes widened. He found it hard to accept. "You don't believe me?" Longchen frowned. He handed the crystal to Long Yuan and said, "Try to refine it." Long Yuan was bold. He immediately took the crystal and began to meditate and refine it. Long Yuan's body was surrounded by light. Bursts of Hongmeng aura fluctuated in this space. Longchen was a little worried. He stood not far from Long Yuan and carefully guarded him. The crystal quickly disappeared under Long Yuan's refining. The Hongmeng aura fluctuating around them also disappeared. "Master, you're right." Long Yuan shouted excitedly, "Sure enough, this crystal can be easily absorbed. The Hongmeng aura in it is very helpful for cultivation." Longchen couldn't help but smile and said, "What are you waiting for? There were 7 jackal demonic beasts just now." Long Yuan understood tacitly and immediately took action. After a while, the 6 pieces of crystal that were shining with green light were all collected by Long Yuan. Longchen looked at the mountain to the east of the desert and said, "Long Yuan, let's keep these crystals first. We should find a place to settle down first before we make any further plans. After all, there was a sneak attack from a demonic beast just now. We don't know what other dangers lie in this area." Chapter 1505. Looking at the endless yellow sand area, the air was filled with bursts of dust. Suddenly, 2 figures swept through the air, leaving only waves of Hongmeng's aura. These 2 figures were Longchen and Long Yuan. Their destination was what Longchen had observed before, a mountain where many people gathered together. Perhaps, that was where the tribes chose to gather after entering the small spirit world. Point. As Longchen's figure swept through the air, he also saw many monsters wandering around this yellow sand area. It seemed that if they didn't find a safe place as soon as possible, in this small spirit world, with only Longchen and Long Yuan, they wouldn't be able to survive. They would never be able to survive. The closer they got to the mountain that they had observed before, the more Longchen understood the movements in the mountain. Gradually, Longchen couldn't help but be surprised. It turned out that the mountain looked very strange. Strictly speaking, it would be more accurate to call it the Grotto Mountain. In this mountain, there were many naturally formed grottos. They were densely packed on the stone walls of the mountain, making this mountain look like a huge beehive. At the same time, what entered Longchen's eyes were the numerous heads on the Grotto Mountain. It seemed that his previous estimation was right. This naturally formed Grotto Mountain had become the foothold chosen by his elder brother's tribe to enter the small spirit world. "Master, Do you think that everyone who entered the small spirit world this time will be on this grotto mountain? Long Yuan asked. Long Chen shook his head and said, it's hard to say. The place where we landed in the small spirit world seems to be random. As for where the other tribes will gather, it's hard to say. Moreover, the small spirit world has only been open for 6 days, so the next 4 days will be, in the next 4 days, there will be many tribes coming. Long Yuan then asked, Master, what should we do? Let's settle down on the grotto mountain first, then inquire about the small spirit world, make a decision, and act according to the circumstances. Long Chen continued, also, when we get to the grotto mountain, we'd better keep a low profile and not cause unnecessary trouble for ourselves. I will follow Master's teachings. As they talked, the two of them flew to the front of Rock Cave Mountain. They could not help but feel a wave of resistance. Long Chen did not understand where this resistance came from, but when he saw the crowd gathered at the foot of Rock Cave Mountain, Long Chen descended and brought Long Yuan with him. He walked over. It turned out that the air path into Grotto Mountain had been sealed off by a large ray. If the rest of the people wanted to go up the mountain, they could only go through a mountain path and walk up. In front of the mountain path, there were more than a dozen people wearing the same clothes blocking the path. They were interrogating the people who wanted to go up the mountain. What's going on? Long Yuan was extremely shocked and said, could it be that we still have to check when we go up the mountain? Are they people from the small spirit world? No. Long Chen frowned and said, this group of people should have also entered the small spiritual world from the outside world. Based on the current situation, this group of people should be in control of this grotto mountain. I was wondering why we were blocked by a resistance when we were flying. It seems that this group of people has already built an array on this grotto mountain. Long Yuan exclaimed. Long Chen was just about to say something when he heard the leader of the dozen people in front of him shout, everyone has entered the small spiritual world from the polar region of Hongmeng. I think you all know that the demon beasts in this small spiritual world are very fierce. If you don't have a good place to stay, you won't be able to stay in the small spiritual world. Our Big River tribe was also lucky to be the first to discover this grotto mountain. However, this mountain is still connected to the outside world. In order to ensure a good environment, our Big River tribe as senior has built an array on this grotto mountain. But there is no free lunch in the world. Since our Big Drink tribe has built an array on this grotto mountain belongs to our Big River tribe. If you want to go up and settle down, each person has to hand over 3 pieces of Hongmeng Demon Crystal. If anyone doesn't know what the Hongmeng Demon Crystal is, then please travel to the distant Yellow Sand area. Hearing this, Long Chen understood that the Hongmeng Demon Crystal mentioned by the leader must be the cyan crystal obtained from the wolf demon beasts that he had killed with Long Yuan before. Since this crystal was so helpful for cultivation, naturally, it would be in this small spiritual world. It would be favored among them. This is the small spiritual world, not the polar region of Hongmeng. Why does your Big River tribe build an array and say that this grotto mountain is yours? Some people in the crowd were very unhappy. Indeed, the behavior of the Big River tribe was a bit too much. The man from the Great River tribe heard this and sneered, this brother's words are not without reason. Previously, someone from the Black Fox tribe said the same thing to me. It was really noisy in my ears, but he didn't say anything. After they died, I had a lot of peace. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other. After all, the strength of a tribe that could build such a powerful array that could protect the entire Grotto Mountain was certainly not to be underestimated. And the people of the Big River tribe could talk about the death of the Black Fox tribe so easily. Obviously, it was not the first time that they had done this kind of thing. Long Chen couldn't help but think of the Yisanghua he met in the Saint sect. He seemed to be a member of the Big River tribe. Unexpectedly, he didn't see the Green Jade tribe and the Yahua tribe, but the people of the Big River tribe saw it clearly. And the scene in front of him also made Long Chen understand that this was no longer the polar region of Hongmeng where people had to be reasonable before doing anything. In this desolate small spiritual world, who was strong enough and whose fist was hard enough, could set the rules. Seeing everyone looking at each other, The people of the Big River tribe shouted again, "Everyone, we are all people of the polar region of Hongmeng. I will also give you some face. We, the Big River tribe, do not deliberately embarrass you. It's just that building the array consumed too much strength of the seniors in the tribe, so we have to collect some Hongmeng demon crystals as compensation. 3 pieces of Hongmeng demon crystals for each person is just a small matter. It will not burden you at all. However, if someone wants to reap without sowing." Chapter 1506. Finally, some small tribes made the decision to hand over the amount of Hongmeng demon crystals set by the Big River tribe, and then enter the rock cave mountain through the mountain path. Later, many people did the same and handed over enough Hongmeng demon crystals to get the qualification to enter the rock cave mountain. Some people who didn't have Hongmeng demon crystals had to leave this area to hunt the Hongmeng demon beasts. Longchen didn't want to stand out, but he and Long Yuan happened to have 6 Hongmeng demon crystals, so he let out a sigh of relief and urged the reluctant Long Yuan to hand over all the Hongmeng demon crystals, and then enter the rock cave mountain. On the grotto mountain, there were many grottos piled up together. Longchen found 2 that were not bad. He and Long Yuan went into one of the caves to rest. The people of the Big River tribe are really arrogant. "Master, are you sure you can control the big formation around the rock cave mountain?" Long Yuan was very indignant, unable to forget the loss of the 6 primordial blood crystals he had worked so hard to obtain. Longchen shook his head and comforted him, "Don't be angry. Just look on the bright side. The Great River tribe is arrogant because they have the capital to be arrogant. I don't know about the formation around Grotto Mountain, but I always feel that there is something wrong with it. But the Big River tribe, since the people of the Big River tribe said so, the big formation will more or less play a role in guarding against the demon beasts. It's getting late. Let's go to rest. Tomorrow, we'll find some information and fix it. After that, we'll leave here." After Long Yuan left, Longchen looked at the vast night outside the rock cave and couldn't help but sigh. The mountain protection formation? Humph, it's not as good as my monstrous starlight formation. How dare they show it off? More and more people climbed up the rock cave mountain. As the night came, everyone went to rest in their own caves. The next day, Longchen asked Long Yuan to wander around the grotto mountain. He really did find out a lot of information, which made the corner of his mouth curl into a smile. The Great River tribe was a relatively powerful medium-sized tribe in the center of the Hongmeng polar region. This time, they took advantage of the fact that the large tribes in the Hongmeng polar region had not yet entered the small spirit world and laid a foundation in this small spirit world. Among the more than 30 people from the Big River tribe who entered the small spirit world, the most powerful one was a white-haired old man at the 3rd level of the consolidation realm in Hongmeng. He was the one who built the mountain guarding formation. The remaining people were mostly young Hongmeng primordial chaos primes. Most of them were Hongmeng. There was only one person who had reached the 7th or 8th stage of the primordial chaos realm in Hongmeng and was close to breaking through. Just last night, a group of people from a medium-sized tribe was dissatisfied with the behavior of the Great River tribe and tried to break the mountain guarding formation from the outside. However, they were killed by a white-haired old man at the 3rd level of the consolidation realm in Hongmeng. After the news spread, many tribes were even more disgusted with the Great River tribe. However, because they were afraid of the white-haired old man at the 3rd level of the Hongmeng consolidation realm, they could only be angry but did not dare to say anything. However, many people understood that as more and more tribes came in, the Great River tribe would be swallowed up by other stronger tribes sooner or later. As for what would happen after that, it was unknown. However, the news that Longchen was looking forward to was not this. It was what Long Yuan had heard about, which was about the small spirit world. It turned out that this yellow sand area was only the edge of the small spirit world. Most of the Hongmeng monsters gathered here. As for the elixirs and magic treasures mentioned before, they were basically absent in this yellow sand area. Most of those things appeared in the small spirit world. In the central area. Some of the larger tribes had unleashed their secret techniques as soon as they entered the small spirit world, so they were able to loot the small spirit world as soon as they landed at the center of the small spirit world. Naturally, they were one step ahead of the others and began to loot the small spirit world. After hearing this news, Long Yuan was naturally anxious. They had already fallen behind many people in entering the small spirit world. Now that they had encountered such a situation, Long Yuan could not wait to pull Long Chen and said that they wanted to go to the center of the small spirit world. Long Chen did not think much of it. He understood that the process of entering the small spirit world would last for half a year. In other words, there would be too many variables in this half a year. Now, Long Chen's strength was only at the 5th level of the primordial chaos realm in Hongmeng. He was still far from the prodigies of those large tribes. Even if he went to the center of the small spirit world and obtained the rare elixirs and magic treasures, he would not have enough strength. Making the wedding clothes for others. It was not easy to persuade Long Yuan to take advantage of the strong Hongmeng aura in the small spirit world to quickly advance to the 4th level of the Hongmeng primordial chaos realm so that he could gain a firm foothold in this treacherous small spirit world. In this way, Long Yuan stayed alone in the grotto and cultivated steadily. At this time, Long Mu in the Dragon Palace said, "Boy, the Hongmeng aura in this space is very strong. It's just right for you to practice the Heavenly Dragon Howl, a Hongmeng primordial chaos technique of the Hongmeng Dragon Clan." It was rare for Long Mu to take the initiative to talk to him and even wanted to give him a cultivation technique. Presumably, Long Mu had promised Long Chen that he would sort out the Hongmeng primordial chaos technique. Now that he had made some progress, he wanted to do Long Chen a favor. Heavenly Dragon Howl? It sounds very imposing. Is it the sound wave Hongmeng primordial chaos technique? Long Chen asked. That's right. The Heavenly Dragon Howl is a sound wave primordial art that my father created based on the unique dragon roar of the primordial dragon race. When the Heavenly Dragon Howl is cultivated to the advanced stage, it can cause the opponent's body to explode and die in the endless dragon roar, injuring the enemy to nothing. Why don't you want to learn it? Long Mu said arrogantly. Long Chen resisted the strong urge to slap Long Mu to death and said, "Hurry up and send me the information of Heavenly Dragon Howl. When I learn it well, the recovery of the Hongmeng Dragon Clan will be just around the corner." Soon, Long Mu sent the information of Heavenly Dragon Howl to Long Chen. After reading it carefully, Long Chen could not help but be amazed. If the Heavenly Dragon Howl was cultivated to the advanced level, the dragon roar between heaven and earth would tremble. Coupled with his 8-division Heavenly Dragon technique, those who did not know would think that he was the Golden Dragon body. Because it was on the Grotto Mountain, Long Chen did not dare to use too much of the power of Heavenly Dragon Howl. He only used less than 10% of the power of Heavenly Dragon Howl, but it was enough to shake the people in the grotto around Long Chen. This was something that Long Chen did not expect. Just when those people wanted to figure out where the dragon roar came from, a loud shout suddenly came from the Grotto Mountain. Chapter 1507. Heaven and earth suddenly shook, and waves of Hongmeng aura surged around the Grotto Mountain. Some people who had entered the small spiritual world were the first to react. This was a demon tide unique to the small spiritual world. The so-called demonic beast tide was a demonic beast activity where some demonic beasts were unwilling to allow their habitat to be invaded by outsiders. Therefore, they spontaneously organized themselves to besiege the outsiders. These Hongmeng monsters were born in the small spiritual world, so they were naturally very dissatisfied with the invasion of outsiders. What's more, the outsiders wanted to kill them and take their demon crystals, which naturally aroused the dissatisfaction of many Hongmeng monsters. It was said that before Long Chen came to the Grotto Mountain, there were several small-scale demon tides, but in front of the mountain protection formation of the Big River tribe, those demon tides were blocked. But today's demon tide was fierce, obviously not the mountain protection formation. This mountain guarding formation could stop them. At this moment, the most important thing was to see how the people of the Great River tribe would react. With the demon tide's attack, the Grotto Mountain was also shaking. Obviously, they could no longer stay in the grotto. Everyone ran out and stood on the mountain, looking at the endless demon tide at the foot of the mountain. Everyone's face turned pale. Yellow sand surged, and all kinds of monsters gathered at the foot of the grotto mountain, roaring soul-stirring cries, which made people's hearts turn cold. "Master, what should we do?" Long Yuan came out of the grotto, looking at the endless demon tide, and could not help but feel a little flustered. "Don't worry," Longchen smiled and said, "since the Big River tribe regards the grotto mountain as their own, and forcibly seized so many Hongmeng demon crystals, in this case, we have to stand up. Otherwise, I'm afraid that before the monsters attack the mountain, the Big River tribe will be besieged by all the people on the grotto mountain." As soon as he finished speaking, the vanguard of the demon tide crashed into the protective mountain array. In an instant, a ferocious Hongmeng aura exploded, and many Hongmeng demon beasts died under the brilliance of the protective mountain array. However, even if the mountain guarding formation withstood wave after wave of monster attacks, the people on Grotto Mountain were still a little worried. After all, it took a lot of energy to maintain the formation. If the Hongmeng Consolidation Realm expert from the Great River Tribe was at the 3rd level, now that the white-haired old man had given up on maintaining the formation, everyone on the mountain had become live targets for the demonic beasts. At this moment, at the mountainside of Grotto Mountain, a blue light soared into the sky. Looking from afar, one could vaguely see a vague figure in the blue light. Everyone! The figure in the air had white hair. Apparently, he was the leader of the Great River Tribe, who controlled the Grotto Mountain. A 3rd-level Consolidation Realm master from Hongmeng. The demon tide this time is huge. The mountain-guarding formation of the Great River Tribe alone will not be able to withstand it. Please come down the mountain and resist the demon tide together. As soon as the white-haired old man said this, the mountain-guarding formation around Grotto Mountain suddenly disappeared. The moment the mountain-guarding formation disappeared, the demonic beasts attacked like a tide. Bursts of fierce Hongmeng aura suddenly exploded on Grotto Mountain. He actually stopped the mountain-guarding formation? Long Yuan shouted in surprise. Longchen was also a little nervous and said, "I didn't expect the people of the Great River Tribe to be so useless. At this time, they actually stopped the mountain-guarding formation and let us resist the demon tide. Long Yuan, be careful." Long Yuan frowned and said, "Master, are we going to make a move?" Longchen said, "If we don't make a move, are you going to stand there and let those Hongmeng demonic beasts tear us apart?" Long Yuan received the order and muttered, "You were the one who said to keep a low profile." It's right to keep a low profile, but we have to be clear about the situation. In this case, if we keep a low profile, we will lose our lives. When the fight starts later, save your strength first. Unless it is absolutely necessary, don't use your best skills. Longchen was ready to fight. "Be ready," reminded Long Yuan. "Also, if this demon tide is really endless, pay attention to my signal. Our lives are more important." Longchen shouted. Long Yuan was not the only one complaining. When the people on Grotto Mountain saw the mountain-guarding formation disappear, they all started to greet the relatives of the people of the Great River Tribe. For a moment, the Grotto Mountain was filled with complaints. "Those bastards of the Great River Tribe took 3 of my demon crystals, and now they're cowards. They even asked me to take the lead. I was really blind at that time. The people of the Great River Tribe are at the top of the mountain. Why don't we attack together? There are so many Hongmeng demonic beasts. We can't resist at all." However, there was not much time left for them to complain. Without the protection of the mountain-guarding formation, the Hongmeng demonic beasts at the foot of the mountain swarmed up. Many grottos near the foot of the mountain were already occupied by demonic beasts. Even if they did not want to resist this demon tide, they had to bite the bullet. The white-haired old man looked at the people who had already joined the battle with the demonic beasts and could not help but smile. His figure slowly landed on the top of Grotto Mountain. At the top of the mountain, there were more than 30 people waiting for the white-haired old man. This group of people was obviously all of the people of the Great River Tribe. Seeing the white-haired old man come down, someone from the Great River tribe came over and asked, "Uncle, with the strength of these people, can you resist this demon tide?" The person who spoke was holding a long sword and his eyes were extremely sharp. This person was called Isongyan. He was among the younger generation of the Great River tribe who was about to break through to the consolidation realm in Hongmeng. The white-haired old man snorted and said, "Songyan, look at things from a long-term perspective. The reason why I withdrew the mountain guarding formation is to let these ants die. You have to know that there are countless opportunities in this small spiritual world. Everyone has a chance to fly. What I'm doing now is to ensure that your future path will be smoother." Seeing Isongyan nod his head, the white-haired old man continued, "Although these people are not a match for the demon wave, let them resist for a while and weaken the power of the demon wave. Then, we can make our move and reap the benefits of the demon wave." Benefits? You have to know that the demon crystals of the Hongmeng demonic beasts are a rare thing for cultivation. Hearing this, Isongyan clasped his hands and said, "Uncle is right. Songyan will remember." Songyan just thinks that this demon tide is so big. If it endangers us when the time comes, won't it be a little self-defeating? Also, the white-haired old man continued, "The demon tide this time is huge. It is very likely that there will be Hongmeng demonic beasts with the strength of the consolidation realm. You all should first recuperate here. If there really is a Hongmeng demonic beast with the strength of the consolidation realm, then you will be able to take action." Chapter 1508. Roar! Roar! The Hongmeng demonic beasts roared fiercely. Bursts of monstrous demonic Hongmeng aura surged. Taking advantage of this momentum, the Hongmeng demonic beasts formed a group and rushed in. Immediately, a few people who were too close to the demonic beast tide to react in time were crushed under their claws. Fly! A blood-red demonic beast that looked like a saber-toothed tiger leaped from the top of the cave and pounced on a person who was trying to stop the demonic beast tide. Then, a fierce primordial chi surged around its body. The saber-toothed tiger demonic beast. The saber-toothed tiger opened its bloody mouth and bit the person who pounced on it in half. However, the people's counterattack was also fierce. A burst of brilliance whizzed out. All kinds of Hongmeng mixed yuan technique greeted the group of Hongmeng demonic beasts. Immediately, many of the demonic beasts were killed or injured. The dead demonic beasts' corpses fell into the rock cave. Immediately, a burst of extremely strange demonic chi spread out. When the demonic beasts below smelled this demonic chi, they became even more ferocious. In the area where Longchen was, demonic beasts had already pounced on him. Longchen and Long Yuan had already killed a few demonic beasts that were faster. However, when they were free, they saw the endless demonic beast army below the mountain and couldn't help but frown. They frowned. The dragon halberd appeared in Longchen's hand. Looking at the demonic beast tide, a golden light appeared around his body. With the support of the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon Art, Longchen's figure suddenly leaped up. Boom! Longchen's figure directly pierced through a demonic beast that rushed up with his dragon halberd. He thought that the demonic beast was dead for sure. However, the demonic beast still let out a roar. Longchen almost couldn't react in time. Fortunately, Long Yuan added a palm strike from the side. He completely killed the demonic beast. The demonic beast's corpse fell at Longchen's feet. A burst of energy fluctuation came. Longchen's mind moved. He suddenly exerted force and grabbed a green demonic crystal from the demonic beast's head. The aura of Hongmeng in this demon crystal is so strong. Feeling the strong surging Hongmeng aura in the Hongmeng demon crystal, Longchen could not help but smile. After all, these were not the demonic jackals that he had killed in one move in the yellow sand area. Obviously, the strength of the Hongmeng demonic beasts in this demon wave was several levels higher than the demonic jackals. As his strength increased, the energy contained in the Hongmeng demon crystal naturally increased. After killing this demonic beast, perhaps the other Hongmeng demonic beasts were afraid of Longchen's strength, but the number of Hongmeng demonic beasts around Longchen decreased significantly. Longchen held the Hongmeng demonic crystal in his hand and operated the primal chaos golden codex. A bright light surged from his palm. In just a moment, Longchen had refined and absorbed all the Hongmeng aura and the Hongmeng demon crystal. After refining and absorbing the demon crystal, Longchen immediately became more energetic. Longchen slightly operated the aura in his body and was surprised to find that his vitality was even better than before the battle. If he could maintain this behavior of killing demonic beasts while refining and absorbing the Hongmeng demon crystals in the coming demon wave, Longchen estimated that with a few hundred more of these Hongmeng demon crystals, he would be able to advance to the 6th level of the Hongmeng chaotic prime realm. I wonder if the next battle will give me some time to refine the demon crystals. With this thought in mind, Longchen no longer cared about keeping a low profile as he had told Long Yuan before. In front of the shortcut that could directly improve his strength, Longchen only had the Hongmeng demon crystals in his eyes at this moment. Looking again at the endless demon wave at the foot of the Grotto Mountain, Longchen was much more excited. Now, the Hongmeng demonic beasts that were roaring and demonstrating seemed to have become pieces of Hongmeng demon crystals that were shining with green light in Longchen's eyes. The demon crystals were pouncing on Longchen one after another at the foot of the mountain. If he could refine and absorb all the Hongmeng demonic beasts' Hongmeng demon crystals, Longchen was very confident that he could advance to the 9th level of the Hongmeng chaotic prime realm. One had to know that such a terrifying cultivation speed was unprecedented. Even the prodigies of the big tribes had to do it step by step. Most of the time, they relied on themselves to slowly cultivate and improve their strength. It was not because the prodigies of these tribes did not want to use shortcuts to improve their strength like Longchen, but because of their own physiques. Longchen's unique physique allowed him to absorb the Hongmeng demon crystals when refining them. Not only did it increase the speed of Longchen's absorption of the Hongmeng demon crystals, but it also greatly increased the efficiency of Longchen's absorption of the Hongmeng demon crystals. With his unique physique, Longchen's absorption of a Hongmeng demon crystal was equivalent to the absorption of 2 pieces by others. It was also because of this that the demon wave in front of him was undoubtedly the best place for Longchen to cultivate. Now, Longchen decided to let go of everything and let himself fight to his heart's content in this endless demon wave. Longchen's figure suddenly leaped up. The dragon halberd in his hand vibrated and released some golden brilliance. At the same time, a golden dragon that exuded pure power suddenly roared out from behind Longchen. Longchen killed his way into the demon wave. Every time he waved his dragon halberd, many Hongmeng demonic beasts would be killed. Blood splattered on the spot. The Hongmeng aura surged. Longchen picked up the Hongmeng demon crystals from the demonic beasts' bodies and continued to fight. When he collected a certain amount of Hongmeng demon crystals, Longchen took the opportunity to leave the battlefield and return to a safer place to refine all the Hongmeng demon crystals he had obtained. As the Hongmeng aura surged again and again, Longchen's state reached its peak again and again. At this time, Longchen relied on the energy obtained from refining the Hongmeng demon crystals to become a never-ending fighting machine. During the battle, he would refine and absorb the Hongmeng demon crystals and then recover his state. Then, he would fight the Hongmeng demonic beasts again and again. Longchen's strength was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Hongmeng, level 6 of the chaotic prime realm. Hongmeng, level 7 of the chaotic prime realm. After breaking through 2 realms consecutively, Longchen did not feel tired at all. Instead, he was even more spirited. The efficiency of cultivating on the tip of the knife was unparalleled. Everyone on Grotto Mountain watched Longchen's actions with their eyes wide open. They had all refined and absorbed the Hongmeng demon crystals before. Naturally, they knew that the violent aura contained in the Hongmeng demon crystals was extremely difficult to subdue. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.